Hi, Chad. Come on in. So once again, we've returned to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. I'm Das. We're still doing our virtual field trip. And we're in sort of a cool place today. You've seen us walk around the two different buildings they have. The big main hangar that has the Spruce Goose, the DC-3 and everything in it. The space building on the other side that had the Titan missile silo and the SR-71 that we sat in for like 3 hours yesterday. And we ran out of time after playing Kerbal on the IMAX for too long. So we actually pushed an extra sort of bonus stream today. It's the sound of knocking. I know, what a nerd, right? So we pushed an extra bonus stream to this morning, and we are back in the museum's archives. And what does that even mean? There's tons of cool stuff outside, but in here is all the stuff that the museum doesn't have room to sort of show. There's just all sorts of things. There's, I mean, books, models and stuff. If you come around this way, look over here. There's tons of like uniforms and things like that. This looks like some sort of fireproof suit, I guess. I don't even know what that's for. It's definitely some sort of fireproof suit or something. But so for the next couple hours, we're going to be walking around inside the archives looking at all the cool stuff. Again, we are here because we have specific permission. Okay, we have specific permission. We've got the Golden Pass. Julia, the Director of Development at the museum, is with us as well, and we are good to go. You missed Kerbal in the IMAX room. Yes, you did. I am live right now. I'm reading my phone on Twitch chat. Of course, if I run this as a VOD, and then I'm like, I'm live right now, I'm reading it on my phone. Before we get going, everything's good to go. It looks like you can hear what I'm saying. The audio's good, the video's good, etc., etc. Am I wild? No, I'm not. I am not. 8 of 10 intro. Hydra. Whatever. Anyways, the white gloves of touch everything. No, I know. So here's the trick. This is organized, but it's not exhibited. So we don't even know what we're going to find back here. We sort of like ran around, and I did a tweet if somebody wants to do a last tweet and see some of the things. Like over on the end, I know there's just reams and reams of Spruce Goose schematics, like the original drawings that they built the Spruce Goose from. There's all sorts of art. I mean, look, like this. What's this thing, right? There's a thing just sitting on this crate. Palette, there's a piece of paper with it, and it's labeled Flight Module Glass Finding Experiment from Zero Gravity from the Westinghouse Research and Development Center Sounding Rocket Payload. So apparently this was a sounding rocket payload that was launched in 1980 from White Sands, apparently, from NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. This is what this thing is. It's a glass finding experiment. Finning? Anyways, there's all sorts of stuff like this around. Again, we're back here because we have special access with the museum. I don't even know where they went. Like Eon and Julia are over there in the back, yeah, digging through things, I think, like that. So I don't even really know where to start today. Thank you, Brimo, for doing the last tweet thing there as well. Again, massive... Look at this. I'm just going to like be like a squirrel walking around. It literally says Howard Hughes scrapbook. I'm not going to open that up right now. I'm not going to touch that. That's just something that I'm going to leave. But as we sort of walk around and just see the different sort of cool things we can find, this is definitely bonus content. We have no clue what's going to be back here in the archives. Again, massive thanks to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum for giving us access to come in here and sort of check out the archives. Also, massive thanks to Julia, who's walking up this way. She's already rummaging around the back looking for cool stuff to show us, like
this picture. So we have all of these records,
right?
And we have found that we've got great partners in California, where the Spruce Goose was built,
right,
and where the Spruce Goose used to live,
okay,
that have really tried to maintain the story of the Spruce Goose. So the people who have taken over the hangar where it was built have asked us for some pictures showing what it was like. So
is that like a cruise ship terminal or something?
It's the dome in Long Beach is a cruise ship terminal. The other one is being taken over by Google. So the building where they built it, and they're maintaining it as a historic building. Rumor has it that it's such a big building that if you look, and you can find them online, there are pictures of bikes going through the building because it's so incredibly large.
No kidding.
But so they asked for some pictures. So this is one of the things we would do with our collections.
We're working too. We're looking for pictures.
So this is the Spruce Goose wing being built.
That's the wing that I was inside.
In Culver City. Right. So back when it was now it's Playa Vista, but back when it was Culver City, and this was so this is where they built it, and there we are. There's where the wing. So this is just one wing.
That's one wing.
Because that's where they attach.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Is that the wing? Is it the other side of the wing going the other way?
I believe so.
It looks like it's not a huge mirror, probably, right?
No, it's the other side of the wing going the other
kidding.
way. So yeah, so we'll find some things like this to send down so they can help us tell the story of the spruce goose and where it came from.
Excellent. So we're also looking for things to send down to the buildings.
Absolutely.
Like you walk into a building and you're like, oh, look at these historical pictures of this building. Who cares? You walk by it or whatever. This is where they come from. Somebody digs them out of an archive and sends them down to the building.
Absolutely. And that area, there was an airfield there.
Yeah.
That's where he test flew his planes.
Yeah.
So a number of his planes were built there. So like the parking lot is lines in the parking lot are numbered. Like
numbered.
H1, H4. They're after YouTube LA has a studio there, and so right outside of it, there's a little helicopter that they found that had been built on that property.
They found.
And had it shipped in. Right.
Yeah.
Again, it was one of those eBay type things. They had it shipped in, and now it's outside to show that this is one of the things that Howard Hughes built there.
No
so
kidding.
yeah, it's amazing.
Hey, there's the first no kidding of the day. How's that?
Yeah,
you like that?
There'll be a lot of them. What did you find? You look very excited over there.
We have no like schedule here. Eon just like walks up with a folder that has what in it?
Read the tab.
Read the tab. It's upside down.
No, here. No.
Oh, there we go. Up there. Photos. The HFE has a jet. What?
So they flew the flying boat in 1947.
Right.
And by then the war was over, and what we've learned is technology changed so much
Right.
during the war. So they still, after it flew, after it took its one flight, they spent probably the next 10 years, we have the records of it, trying to come up with different ways they could make the project
Make it
work.
still viable or whatever. Right.
So these are all the, so you should read
Ideas.
those
Yeah,
from
here, I'm
there.
going to put that down. Yeah. This
So-
is like, can I pick one up?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's information about the Hughes flying boat in a jet configuration. Somebody's making things up, and look, there's like, you can see the 4 jet engines that seem to be under the wings, and they slip the wing backs, and the entire thing looks a little bit skinnier. So like are there any jets that land on water? I don't.
Oh, the Russians have some.
Do the Russians? For the Russians, well, of course, the Russians have some jets that
course
land on
they
water. So it's just they're like
Here's
drawings, or look
right,
at this.
in case you need to beach it.
How to
here's-
beach?
Great, because do you notice on the right-hand side, there's soldiers.
Yeah. No kidding, they're just going to pull that thing up to the beach.
Right.
So these are like ideas, sort of drawings in photo plates or something like that, where they're talking about how you could moor it if it was a jet, there's weather with a jet, how do you mark it with buoys, how would you build a dock to have, it's like a terminal for jet flying boats. Oh my gosh. And this stuff is just in a...
This one's got palm trees. It's going to be someplace nice. But
Look at the nose, too.
opens,
Yeah,
right?
the nose goes up instead of going like the clamshell nose.
Yeah.
And it has palm trees.
There's palm trees. A little ambiance.
No kidding.
But
Even like the truck, like these look like chalk. I don't even know.
And chat, tell us how this was done, because I have no idea.
I have
what
no
we were
clue
doing
how you
in
would draw things like this. It
1940
literally looks
something
like
to make
chalk
this,
drawings.
right?
Here, that's what-
But and if we manage to get that far back,
If we
put that
manage
back
to get
together
that far
for
back
us,
in.
Thank you. And we all have on our gloves.
Yeah.
We have all of the studies that they did.
Yeah.
So of course, and everything is handwritten. So we have
It's not like
notebook
computer
after
reams of computer
notebook
files or whatever.
after. Well, let's walk back that direction
Yeah.
since we're talking about these pictures.
We're continuing to walk.
We're walking and walking.
What's this thing?
I don't know. That would be FLIR off of one
It's
of the
got a
helicopters.
laser warning on it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be FLIR, and the laser warnings because it has a laser designator inside.
Yeah, it does. Here's some.
So as things come into the museum, they get staged here.
Right.
So and basically, we talked about this a little bit the other day, but somebody will just call and say, my grandpa just passed away. He's got all these boxes of stuff. Would you be interested in them? And we go, well, okay. And then they drop them off. They all get cataloged and documented what we have. They get put into a computer system.
Right.
And then they move from here over to whatever area they should be in.
Right.
So everything is chronological by when we received it. So you'll
Gotcha.
see a piece of skin from the spruce goose that flew into space alongside something from 1940.
They flew into
something.
space because
So-
there's a space shuttle thing where
There's
they
a
took a
space
piece of
shuttle
the
thing where
skin.
they took a piece of it. But so everything is donated to us. So we have people who donate amazing things. I came over here, and my big thing is early aviation and the early
Right.
airlines.
Right.
That's what I love. And we found a suitcase, and it was a woman who had been hired by, I believe, United Airlines, and
Right.
had a 30-year career. She had saved every document, every pay stub, every training manual, every
No
catalog
kidding.
to buy her uniforms, everything. So you're watching this progression of the airlines. It's just amazing. And
It
people
was like
are
a
just-
time capsule sort
Yes.
of deal,
And
like
people are
going
just
through layers
kind
of.
enough. They just donate it to us so we can share it with people. So
Sunny Deity says it looks like a scratch drawing where you take off the top black layer to expose the bottom white layer.
Like you sort of.
Oh, very
I gotcha.
good.
Nice, Sunny Deity. Excellent.
Thank you. Yes, now we know.
Even this, I mean, it's just got like a tag on it, right? And you sort of write in where it came from.
And it'll tell who the donor was.
Information on it,
and
yeah.
this is the number that then we could go and look up in our computer
Right,
system.
like the catalog number or something like
and
that.
So,
right?
and then we have the information here that tells us what part we're going to put it in,
Yeah.
how it's going to be maintained.
But not necessarily everything. It's not like, oh, we got this, and then next Tuesday it'll be out there. Like
Yeah.
there's an entire process that it goes through to receive it, and stage it, and then sort of put it over there. Then you figure out a great exhibit that it would be a part of.
Right.
And you sort of build it all together.
And how do you keep it safe, and how do you make it tie into the story? And there's so many stories to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well, like we were talking earlier today. When I moved here a year ago, I didn't know that all of the Doolittle Raiders had trained in Oregon.
Right.
But they all trained in Pendleton, Oregon. So there's a whole history of that operation that belongs to Oregon.
Yeah.
And those stories
So
are
it's relevant to
incredible.
the area,
Right.
sort of.
Right, and people just don't know it.
Yeah.
So fine. I mean, our biggest challenge is we have so much amazing stuff. Where do you start to tell the story? And as you've seen, we have several giant buildings.
No.
And we still don't have enough room to show
I
everything.
mean, we've spent 2 days walking around the buildings, and there's how many things have we looked at? I mean, all right, we spent a half day at the SR 71, but sue
Right.
me. What are you going to do, right?
Right, but we didn't get, so for next trip, just go ahead and put that on your calendar, because we have helicopters in the back. And
we
have
didn't even
several-
we walked by the helicopters.
And they're not just helicopters like, oh, here's your Huey, here's your, I don't know much about
boring
but
helicopters, yeah.
there's like one that's a test bed. It was a Navy test plan, and it's like this weird saucer thing. It looks like you're standing on top of your riding lawnmower,
Yeah.
or your lawnmower, too.
Like an early
It was like a
drone sort of thing,
hovercraft
almost.
thing.
Like a little, you see like the quadcopters and stuff.
Except you stood on it.
You stood on
You
it?
stood on it,
What?
and then you apparently flew around and hoped you didn't fall
Did it
into
have like
the...
like a joystick or something?
It's got
Does it still
controls.
run? Like, can we stream that? No.
I don't think we can try that one. But there's several things over there that are just unique, one-of type items that, we didn't even get to. So, the amount of stuff.
God.
But so, to demonstrate the magnitude of this, so this picture
This picture.
came from
One picture that we found to send to the building in California.
that drawer, which is one of, and somebody can do some quick math and count the drawers. All of this information, everything you see back here, came with the Hughes collection. So from
All of
Hughes
this is the
Aviation.
huge collection?
All of this. And most of it is flying boat. But this is all the paperwork. And every single thing was handwritten, had to be documented that way, had to be typed up.
Audio popping?
Is it because we're in a black hole?
Audio popping? No, we shouldn't.
There's just a couple, so much.
Yeah, it was just real quick. Yeah, okay. If it's not terrible, then it's not terrible, y'all. It was just like a pop or something like that. My popping, they're concrete. No. The audio's crackling a little bit. I wonder if we need another battery for it. Or is everything plugged in? Or
Maybe we haven't changed the battery in this.
Yeah, just
over the course
unplug it
of a
right
few
quick.
days.
Here, let me plug some stuff in right quick. That'll take the audio all the way off. We'll put the audio all the way back in. Something up there is separate. Oh, this is it's coming off.
Oh,
Yeah. Hang on a second, chat. We're fixing it. Thanks for the heads up. I don't think that's going to have anything to do with it. And the other thing we could do is swap the battery out right quick. Thank you all for letting us know, but is that better? I mean, we literally like unplugged it and replugged it in. It was the same sort of issue we had when it was getting wet on the aircraft carrier. But how is this now? I love that you do these things. Thank you, Lol Dog. I appreciate it. Yeah, all the way off. No, we know. We know. All right. It's fine. We're aware there's a delay. Before we keep going and look at this stuff. Somebody says fix, somebody says not. This is like the idea, right?
Right.
We tried turning it off. I literally did that, yeah. All right. In the Pelican case, top middle zippered pocket on the lid, there's a 9-volt battery with a piece of gaff tape over the top of it to make sure it doesn't short out. And we'll switch that out right quick. Thank you for letting us know, chat. Yeah. We're good. The mic on the camera is good. You know, it's so much quieter in here. I almost wonder if we don't need... What if we just go like this? Okay, now, how is that? That's just using the other camera, or using the other microphone. If that's better, we can just roll with that, because otherwise it takes 2 minutes to change out the battery. So if it's good right now, like not earlier, but right now, now, is this good? Let me know.
Right there.
If that's okay. But now.
Almost now.
Are we good?
audio levels still look pretty good on the camera.
Yeah,
although
and you lost one of the bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, you lost the external mic bars?
Sounds tinny.
Yeah, tinny. That's what I sort of figured. That's why we have the other one. Now you're in a can. This is not the better. See, y'all are spoiled. Y'all are spoiled. You don't know what it is when it's so nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all set up, and you're so spoiled about it, and now you can't use a regular camera microphone.
Right.
It's a little bit more echoey, but it's clear. Yeah, just more room ambiance. No crackle, but the sound quality is worse. All right. You can have some tinny audio while I handle this.
Yeah,
all right.
Just
no, you gotta like completely field strip the thing. That's one of the banes of this. At least we got it fixed now, as opposed to yeah. See, okay. There, and this one had the gaff tape on top.
Yes.
Right? So you can keep talking, and it'll be all tinny, and you can hate it.
Exactly. Exactly, and I'll blame you for it. So we talked about the amount of documentation, and again, all done by hand.
Right.
So this document, right, this little tiny folder that I'm holding right here, literally the purpose of this bulletin is to establish a standard procedure for the servicing of the flexible rubber hose.
The flexible rubber hose.
The entire document is about that. It's all typed.
I believe I would know what that is.
Come and tell me what that is. Because I have tabs that say engine oil, fuel, pneumatic, hydraulic, whole vapor detector. That just sounds interesting.
And it looks like a mimeograph, like a blue.
Right.
I wonder if it's a copy. Remember those old blue ones that were like
Somebody typed this. Yes.
Ah.
They used carbon paper, I'm guessing, because
And it's got stamps. That's an actual signature. It looks like from '54.
Yeah.
That signature is what? 114 years. No, 54 years old.
Probably not 100.
Not 100. I just did my math wrong.
We're mathing on stream. That's a bad.
Right.
50. It'd be 50.
Chat. What's
64 years old? 64 years old.
Chat, help us here.
I got it. It's 64 years old. I just counted wrong.
But yes, so note, when new hose is installed in the airplane, record the manufacturer's date of the rubber, the assembly date, and the installation date. And then it has to be inspected. So, yes, roughly 6 years after it flew, we were still inspecting all of the rubber. And this entire document is just about that. So then you come back
in one drawer of how many?
In one drawer of somebody count.
We could take the camera around real slow and pan past all the drawers, and y'all can count it. Because that doesn't require audio.
Exactly. Because that's, here's a service bulletin on detecting trapped water in the HFB.
Detecting trapped water?
Trapped water, absolutely. And so that's what all of these are. And when we got them, I mean, it's going through them and figuring out, is it all flying boat? Which part is it relevant to? And every single one has to be cataloged and recorded.
Right.
So we know what we've got. Fire extinguisher system, kind of important.
For a wooden boat, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see what we get from that. Thank you. Okay. After the fast change of our battery there, it's probably something we should have thought about. Is this better? Yeah, be quiet about it. He's fixing it right now. Audio's a robot. We know. Okay, we get it. All right. Oh my gosh. Thank you. The audio's tinny. Jeez. So give it just a second here. And now, is it good? Is this better? It's still popping. How could it possibly still be popping?
I'm not seeing anything from the mic input up here popping.
It was popping with a camera mic? It sounds like Rice Krispies. Who knows what we've done? What do you think it sounds like? We're going to have somebody on the scene verify it for us, y'all. It's still popping with the new batteries.
No, I'm not seeing any peaking.
Yeah.
No.
All right. We got one more thing that we can check out. Still popping, but no longer tinny. All right. Well, here we go. This is what it does.
I'll just pan around to some of the views, some
There
of
you
the
go.
pictures
You
on the
let them
walls.
count things.
There's so many great pictures on the walls here too. Like we could spend all day just looking at the walls.
Right. Well, and like behind you, you have the signature panel from everyone that was on the Spruce Goose the day of the flight.
Oh, is that all?
It's just hanging on the wall.
Yeah,
back
just,
there.
all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. I don't
Yeah.
think chat wants to see that.
Right. Nobody. It's not. It's not that interesting. You can touch. We need to. This is again when we're looking for something to send to our friends. We're looking for something cool that we can share with them. And
These are a
again,
couple of my
we have the
favorites,
ability
chat.
to load it to them and,
We'll get around to signature panel, by the way.
So this is a wiring diagram.
Yeah. So if we could find that.
Yeah.
When you see template layout.
Anything cool?
All right, we'll cut that part out.
Hello, DOS face.
All right, we made some changes. It should be good now, y'all. It should be good now. It won't pop anymore. Yeah. Can't have popping if you turn the sound off. Exactly. Now you're just gonna have to watch the stream in pantomime, and we'll be like,
You got the gloves.
yeah, I do have the gloves, the mime gloves. That should have fixed the popping. Yeah, popping fixed. All right, I know what it was. I know what it was, y'all. I figured it out. Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback again. Maybe it wasn't popping earlier because maybe we were talking more quietly or loudly or whatever. Now we have to start the entire stream over. Everybody get back to your positions.
Right, let's try again.
No. Log back out. No. Thank you for letting us know about that. It should be good to go now, and I think we're good. Publish the schematics. It's an interesting.
So that was one of the things.
Yeah, we were
on
just
Friday.
somebody in chat asked because we've got all these schematics and stuff like that, and all these drawers and all this sort of stuff. Like, just what is this?
That's the thing.
Okay, so this is cool.
This is
wanna
kind of
cool?
cool.
Hang on, I need to come over that way.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a picture of you with cool.
You want it cool?
I'm moving these this way.
Let's get the Sharpie pointy things away.
Yep, Sharpie pointy things are
Look at
bad.
this
Here, will you
thing.
take a picture of that from there?
Yes,
So
I'm
I'll
gonna
see
do it in a
if
second.
no, you won't because you.
Master station. Stat. No. Yeah,
Oh,
station.
that's the same thing that's over here on the wall.
Diagram.
So,
Yeah, that's
so
what's over here.
aircraft,
Oh, it
aircraft
is.
just like
Nice
ships
station,
are measured in stations.
This is the
Look
paper.
at that.
Oh.
So if you were,
A
if you
campfire?
were,
No, do it for scale.
Yeah.
if you remember when you were on the Intrepid, when you look overhead, you would have your frame stations. You have stations on here as well, and if you look on the Spruce Goose up top, when you look on the ribs of the Spruce Goose,
Yeah,
you
they're
can
all
see
numbered
the,
like
you can
a-
see the station numbers,
Yeah.
and that's a measurement from the nose, or a datum line off of the nose.
Look at that, y'all.
So the
1943. Godfrey Nystrom. 9/23/1943.
so
And it's got like, the legend is like rudder tab hinge point, rudder hinge station, elevator tab, aileron, flap hinge station. All actuating hinge points and stations are so noted. Everything's numbered. Gah.
And here's the reference to the other diagrams for parts on here.
Look at that.
And then all that will go with something that we find in the drawers here.
Yeah.
So,
And this is even...
So I think that's a copy of.
It is. It's like a scan or a printout or something of it underneath
This is
it.
a large print that would get shrunk down into
Yeah.
the maintenance manual.
Yeah.
Look at
and
that.
The index where equipment is in the aircraft in regards to the frame station.
Chat.
and so
I left chat over there. So
Yeah.
No,
they're fine. So the group that purchased the place in Playa Vista,
Right.
The Ratkovich Construction Company. I'm just going to throw in a shameless plug right there, if that's
Yeah.
okay. They called, and Spruce Goose Bruce and
Right.
another one of our docents went down to meet with former Hughes employees
Right.
at the site when they first purchased it, because all those buildings were being destroyed. I mean, the area where everything is overgrown,
Yeah.
and it's now buildings instead of an airfield. So they wanted to. They really started the whole keeping it preserved. And so they recently donated to the museum enough money for us to buy a large scanner.
Right.
So we can get all these digitized.
So, I mean, a large
So-
scanner. Look how big this piece of paper
Right,
is.
exactly. And again, it's one of those projects that we have 4 fantastic volunteers here that are here 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. But yeah, look at what they have to scan.
I know.
But once
Look at
we-
all the stuff behind you.
Right.
All
And
of the
there's-
rolls
there's
of
boxes.
schematics.
I mean, everywhere you look, there's more boxes
Yeah.
of them. But once we get that done, then we can start sharing them
Yep.
with more people. And it's so amazing to look at. I mean, you didn't know how this was going to work, and this is how you figured it out. You hand wrote everything.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then after you built the thing, you had to take it apart so you could take it someplace else and put it back together so you could actually see if it would fly. But all of this, I mean, the amount of manpower, and that's the other interesting thing is in one of these files, there's like the employee records and employee benefits records and everything else from 1940 something and the 50s. But yeah, they just kept working on it because they wanted to make a jet out of it. So,
I mean, I can't even imagine. You have a large format scanner, or you're going to get a large format scanner that you can use to sort of digitize these things, right? And that's one thing. It's like, all right, let's scan this. No big deal, right? Just scan it right quick. But then we've got all of the things behind you there in those boxes, and then there's another stack over here. But wait, how long is that going to take you? Right? Whatever. Yeah, there's a couple more that you need to scan in over here. Every one of these is, I don't even know. Look at this.
Most of them some of them have labels on the end of them, so you can just, like, which was that? Like, this is the landing skid template layout. Mod 269 mockup.
I mean, look, I'm putting this down. Like, there's a bundle here, right? Because it's got a bunch of labels on it. Let's pick that up. Shit. Yeah. So look, we've got like jig assembly rudder on that one. There's a rudder sheet 2. There's another jig assembly rudder. What is that? There's another jig assembly. Yeah, look at this. Vertical stabilizer and rudder, and it's got all these order numbers and all this stuff on it. And this is like one sort of like Gatling gun full of information in schematic format, right? I mean, so I don't even know how long it would take me to scan these in, because you're not just like, slap it down right quick.
Right.
Every one of these is 60 years old, so you got to be careful while you're scanning it in. Right? I'm like, and they're literally tied together with string. Those are actually not string. Those are little rubber bands. Huh. God. Imagine how long it would take. This one came from right here, up on the top, to get all of these things scanned in. So the question, somebody asked the question, are there any plans to digitize or to share these? And it's going to be a lot of work. It's years worth of, I'm going to say years worth of effort before you would expect all of these, because you don't just scan it in. Imagine a folder that had a PDF document or an image for every single one of these. And it's like, scan 00001.pdf, scan 00002.pdf, scan 0003. How are you going to find anything? You don't just scan it in, you also have to cross-reference it with the information off of it. I don't know if you do some sort of OCR to try and read it, but it's all handwritten in engineering handwriting, which is much better than my handwriting.
Absolutely.
But
they're not doctors.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing. That's working for us here. But just the amount of work that it would take. These are just the things up on top. Again, just have all these drawers here as well. Those are blue. I'm going to go with the fact that they're probably blueprints, given that they're blue. But look, let's pick this folder up. Does it have anything in it? No. Oh, it's a separator. That's what it is. It's like a divider.
It looks like quite a few people are volunteering.
People are volunteering to scan this stuff in?
And in all honesty, chat, if you are local and you are interested in becoming a volunteer, if you are a college student and interested in an internship, we actually are trying to really start that program off so we can get college students in here and teach them how you do this properly.
Yep.
Because every museum in the world is going to need people that can do this.
They can do this sort of
stuff. People that are doing it now are retiring, and there's not enough people who have the ability to come in and truly catalog it. And we're being very careful, and we know to wear the gloves, and we know to not touch things, and we know to. But if somebody said to me, "Hey, you need to go catalog," I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, that's." And then what do I do?
It's a process. It's another skill you learn. It's like being a mechanic or a doctor or whatever.
It's like a very specialized librarian.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get interns that will come in and help us with that, both in this area, and we talked the other day about the research library that we're setting up. So not only are we teaching people how you gather the collection and you sort through
how to get it organized,
but then how do you help people use it?
Yeah.
Because all of this is fantastic, but if we can't get it out for people to use, it doesn't really help.
Like if you were looking for whatever this thing is, it's a fitting with a 1.5-inch pipe thread to a 2-inch flange, right? It's a blueprint from March 25th, 1949. That has this specific thing in it. How would you ever find that in all of these places?
Right.
If you needed that, I just picked this up.
Right.
If you needed that research for whatever reason, maybe you don't need to know the exact schematic
you might,
of this
though.
thing.
I mean, you never know.
Just because it's here doesn't mean you can find it.
Right.
I have a problem with my cables at home like that. Like all my little computer pieces. I have boxes, ask Chemist, I have boxes and boxes of cables. I have everything. I know where some of it is.
I had that problem with cordless mouses. I have the mouse and I have the little thing all over the place, but I've got like 20 of them now, and I can't find which one goes with which. And a great example is, so the plane was in Playa Vista in the terminal where it was built, which is a dry terminal. It's not on the water. They were building it there, and there was a point in the building of the aircraft where there was flood damage done. So after they had gotten it put together. And a researcher called me and said, I've heard there was flood damage. Now, I'd never even heard there was a flood, let alone known anything about it. But this particular gentleman had spent years and years, I mean, we're talking decades, researching Hughes. And as a child, he had seen the spruce goose at Long Beach Harbor. And just, I mean, very long time, a lot of knowledge about it. You couldn't find records of what had actually been damaged.
Right.
So he came up here to visit us, and if you want to do this, you call the museum and you say, I'd really like to find out some information. So we got permission from the curator to come into collections. So he came in and he spent an entire day here going through the documentation, and he found this folder that says what?
Staples? No, that's wrong. Flood damage.
It says Staples also.
It just says Staples on it.
But again, so August 23rd, 1954, here are all the handwritten documentation of what happened.
No.
And here are the records of it.
I didn't say kidding.
So there wasn't, I mean, this isn't a story that's been published. This isn't that you can, you just haven't looked at the right place. If you went to this book, you would find
just Google it.
But this gave him all of the information. Here's the summary of wood quantities and the cost of Duramold stock, which was lost due to flood damage. So all of this is the information, and it was flood damage at the harbor site. I want to make sure I get the site location right. But so then this is the description, all typed up happily.
Wow! Look at this.
In
look
first
at the
person.
letterhead.
I then drove to the field office of Pacific Dredging. Yeah. And so he was able to find information that he had never found before because he came here and went through.
But this isn't the story. You can't just Google it, right?
Nope.
This is raw data.
Right.
It's folders and it's pieces of paper. It's not actually information because you don't know that it's here until you come and dig it out.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm going to say there's no organization. I mean, it's sort of organized, but there's no way to just index it. You don't walk up to a kiosk and be like, I'd like to know about the flood damage, and hit a button and it comes up.
Right. Our goal is to get it to that point.
Yeah.
But we don't have it there yet. And again, unless a historian or a writer has come through, taken the time, researched this particular thing, the information is not out there for you to find. So you can't just, go to Wikipedia and go, oh yeah, well I want a little information on that, and there it is. So it's just amazing, but that's what all this is about. So a story that I didn't even know had happened, and it's funny because you hear these sort of, these myths, these urban myths about aviation.
Oh yeah,
like the story about Jimmy Doolittle flying out, and you hear these things and you need to get substantiation for them because there are a lot of really great stories, but until you know they're true, they're just stories.
They're just stories.
All they are.
They're good stories sometimes.
Right,
but
there's some
stories.
Great ones out there. But so you come here and you help us out by finding this stuff, but then you also get to share that information.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things with Howard Hughes is because he was such a unique individual, and I mean, for the time, he was, I'm going to say it, he was the Kardashian.
Right.
I mean, that's what he was back then.
Yeah,
he was
okay.
This group is the Elon.
He was the but it was the scandal, and people loved that part.
Right.
And they loved the eccentric stories. And
right.
He called you in the middle of the night, and he made you work, and he only wore Keds, and we get caught up in all of those stories. We forget that this man was brilliant.
Right.
And he was so dedicated to aviation so the parts of the movie The Aviator,
right.
where he's filming and he's spending all that money on Hell's Angels, all of that is true. That he truly did. He started making movies because he had the money to do it, and he bought all these airplanes so he could go and fly them.
So he could go and fly them.
And then he didn't like the first version of the movie, so they went back and redid it. Yeah, so all of those things about him are true, but he had this passion for aviation that drove him to do
all of this. Well, and the actual, it's not just we made a bunch of plans, there's an actual aircraft out there.
Airplane. Well, and there's several of them. I mean, there's the one that's now in the Smithsonian, the H-1 Racer. He did some incredible things, and it's so easy to forget that this was a guy who, he didn't have a degree in aeronautical engineering. He had the best minds he could find,
right.
But it was the 30s and the 40s. Nobody knew much about those airplanes.
Yeah, they're making it up.
Absolutely.
They're creating the knowledge. They're creating the initial
Right. So when we talk about airplanes now, I can look at somebody who served in the Navy and say, hey, how did that hydraulic system work? Or how much pressure was there? You can ask all these questions. We're talking about a time where they had no information on these airplanes. I mean, you're flying stuff from World War I. There were no records. Nobody went out and went, oh, okay, we got to test, the amount of stress that the wing can take. We have to test what.
Yeah.
There's
that's not safe to fly yet. We got to model it more or whatever. It's like.
Exactly. There's a fabulous article. Chat, you have to look this up.
Look it up, Chat.
There's a gentleman whose name is Javier Arango, who unfortunately passed away in an aircraft accident last year. But Mr. Arango owns the most amazing collection of airplanes ever, and he flies all of his World War I airplanes.
World War I airplanes?
World War I airplanes. And he, like Mr. Hughes, was so passionate about aviation that what he did was he gathered all of these World War I airplanes together and started doing all the testing.
Right.
So he wanted people to be able to understand how these planes flew, what their abilities were.
Yeah.
And none of that information was there because it was 1900. We were building planes to try and get to war, and nobody could do that, and we didn't have the technology. So he has been working on until his death, had been working on this project where he was going through systematically these aircraft that he owned and flying them to get that information about them. But he wrote an article about why. So in a private airport, you generally take off and you fly a pattern a certain direction.
Right.
And why do you always turn one direction? And so you have to look it up. There's your chat homework.
There's your chat.
Mr. Arango published an article that talks about the origins of that being from the control features of these early aircraft.
No.
And that the torque made it easier to turn one direction than the other. So when you flew like a race car, you only turn one direction.
You just turn it, It's like, this is the easy way to turn, so this is the way we're going to turn in our pattern.
Exactly.
Wow.
But so he went through and really, I mean, he has aircraft that have warped wings, that you can make the wings move instead of I mean,
right. There's no control surface. You actually bend the wings.
And again, I mean, I got to see his collection. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's actually. So he went through and he started to get all of this information and make it so people will understand,
find it, and preserve it.
Absolutely.
Because it's information once the planes are no longer around. You're just going to be guessing at it. Like, well, we think we built it out of the same way.
Right. And there's so few of them left that while we still have pilots that can fly them, he was flying one of his aircraft and he said they're so physically difficult to fly that after a half hour you're exhausted.
Because it's not, fly by wire, all this sort of thing. It's like, you want to turn, you're like, argh.
Absolutely. You're flying the plane. And so, but he wanted to fly these things and he wanted people who were qualified to fly them so we could have this information.
Right.
So it wouldn't be lost when we couldn't fly the planes anymore. And, I mean, it's incredible work they do. So I always think Mr. Hughes kind of the same way, that he had this incredible passion and he wanted to make sure that we knew everything about this aircraft and that it was as safe as it could be.
Right.
So despite his he always wanted to test fly his own planes and he had a few incidents.
Incidents, right.
He was a safe pilot, he was a good pilot, and he was thorough with what he did.
Right.
And so, we have a huge commitment to making sure we have all this information in a way that it can be shared.
I mean, it's sort of sobering to think of the amount of information that's been lost, right? Just over the course of humans sort of figuring stuff out or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
And there's drawings, and there's sort of experiments, and then the people that did it, they're no longer here. And so, like, being able to preserve this sort of stuff, it's almost like going back and seeing, how did they figure this stuff out?
Right.
Like, how did they do it? Why do they do it that way or whatever? This is important to preserve.
It is.
And I'm going to say digitize, right? Because we digitize it, and it's got a little bit longer life than, this one piece of paper that exists here in the museum.
Absolutely.
You make it electronic, and it goes all over the world all of a sudden.
And everybody can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we keep these stories. And for me, I love the airplanes.
Right.
And you guys probably haven't figured it out yet, but I really like the DC-3.
Do you love the DC-3? Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad airplane at all. But to me, it's as much about the stories behind the airplanes.
Yeah.
These people were so incredible and so committed to aviation and so willing to just go out. And the early astronauts especially were the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're willing to just get into that capsule and
strap
just
me on the top of the ballistic missile and let's go to space.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
No problem. Yeah, if everything goes okay, I'll be home for dinner. I mean, so the stories are, it's so important to me to keep these stories so people understand, these guys really contributed a tremendous amount to our world.
Absolutely.
They just absolutely did. And you're right. There's so much, it's so easy to look at this stuff and not understand how important it is.
Right.
Because it's still too current. It's not history yet. It's just part of our lives.
That's a good point.
And you do when there's a story about when one airline purchased another airline, and they went into their headquarters and just threw out all their documents.
Just threw it out.
It's
just lost.
It's
gone.
It's just not
like a
important
dumpster
anymore,
filled with.
So unless there's somebody there that says, "Hey, you know the importance of this airline." Northwest Airlines was based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Right.
So they're very good at what? Flying in cold weather.
Right.
So at the beginning of World War II, they were the ones that trained the pilots, the military pilots, how to fly. The route, the Lend-Lease route, took them through some chilly little areas.
Yeah.
And unless you were raised someplace, or flew out of someplace like Minnesota, you didn't know how to do that.
The pilots from South Texas were not going to be helping out much with the cold weather flying, right?
So the Northwest Airlines pilots helped train the early military pilots because they were the ones with the knowledge on how you flew in cold conditions. So you think about it, and then 70 years later, people forget that this is really important information to hold on to. So
even this sort of thing, like you said, the airline moved in. It's like, okay, I know you don't need the documents anymore, but that doesn't mean they're not important from a historical perspective.
Absolutely.
Right? But it takes effort and it takes time and money and that sort of thing. And so I could see like, oh well, we just want to get rid of it, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing that people will say like, hey, I was cleaning out my granddad's closet and I found a box filled with whatever or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of just, well, the easy thing to do is just toss it and then it's just gone.
Yeah.
You're not ever going to get it back. So
Absolutely.
you might as well drop it in the bottom of the ocean, right?
Right.
So
And like Evergreen started because of Del Smith. Mr. Smith started Evergreen Airlines.
Right.
Started up with helicopters. He built the whole company up, and the company had an unfortunate end.
Right.
Eventually, they filed for bankruptcy. But what he did during that time is absolutely amazing. And when he passed away, unless somebody steps in and says, "We've got to hold on to this stuff,"
right.
it's just going to go away.
It's
there's so many firsts.
Yep.
I mean, he was the first person to use a 747 to fight fires. What? He did what? You just decided you would take a 747 and turn it into a giant firefighting airplane. But there are all of these things, and so the first project we'll do with our research library is that we will take all of Evergreen's information, which isn't even in this room. It's stored in another area. And the items we've gotten from his personal collection, and we have a historian that's going to work with us.
Right.
We're going to get college students that will help, and we're going to teach them how you go through a collection.
Right.
How do you go through 40 boxes and figure out what's important, what's not important, what's, and unless you know what you're looking for, it'd be really easy to go, oh, that document's not all that important. And then you find out it was critically important.
Yeah.
So to go through that process, how do you figure out what you hold on to, and then what do you do with it once you have it? And so that's what we do here.
No kidding.
With a lot of really cool stuff.
It is a lot of really cool stuff.
It is.
In fact, there's tons. I mean, we've been sort of standing here in this area. We didn't count. This little area over here.
But now let's go.
Can't get over this. The number of just schematics that are back here.
And then there's more over here.
God.
In case you needed more.
I want to see the. What is this? They're 4 tall, right? The cabinets are 4 tall. And there's 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is just 24 times 4 in this direction. So this is 100 cabinets filled with stuff just from this way, right? And every one of them is filled with stuff. Captain Michael Keem, Smithway Street sign unveiling. There's a document for a Northeast Captain Michael King. It's the Smithway Street sign unveiling.
Right.
There are some photos and information about the street sign unveiling in this folder right here, because somebody went through a stack of stuff and like, what the heck is this paper? And it's apparently documentation on the street sign unveiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are all drawings too, by the way.
There's, I mean, every time you see the blue sort of popping out the top of it. So there were 24 that way. There's got to be another 40. No, there's got to be more than 40. There's over 100 cabinets in here filled with stuff.
And there's more on the other side.
And there's more on the other side. So the thing you were talking about with the university students, is that like a program? Is it like a volunteer thing?
It is. We're just starting it. It'll be an internship. We have
internship.
several colleges in the area that have programs.
Right.
But there's some virtual capacity too.
Right.
So if people are interested, they can contact me and we'll get them connected. But we really want people to have that experience of being able to figure out how to do this. But then the other part of it is what we've learned through a whole lot of research is that kids, especially kids from historically underserved populations or kids from non-dominant groups, one of the ways that we can actually get them to better understand STEM is through the writing part of it and through understanding how to write and improving their literacy skills. And so part of this project will also then become, we'll teach these kids how to use this information, how to write reports, and how to get better at that skill.
That's cool.
So then they can translate that into other areas. The other part is these guys are really inspirational.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Mr. Smith, who was orphaned as a child and grew up with a single mom, and there's the whole story. When we talked about Jacqueline Cochran the other day, she was also an orphan with a third-grade education.
Wow.
So it's you look at these guys and women, and it's, for kids, it's nice to be able to find people that have been through diversity, have been through adversity, and and have succeeded. Yeah. So and there's so many of them, and they do cool things like this.
They do cool things like this.
I see a question in chat that says, "Do volunteers need any previous experience?"
Do volunteers? It probably depends on what you're doing.
Absolutely. And we will train you. There's just some drawings there.
There's just some drawings there. Nice. Well, so we were talking about, you scan all this stuff in. And you have to have somebody physically here if you're scanning something in, right?
Yes.
You got to pick up the piece of paper, you got to put it on the scanner, you got to hit the green button or whatever color it is. But then once it gets in, that's almost like a good opportunity to crowdsource things.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, hey, we have all these scanned documents, but we haven't gone through and read them to see exactly what they are. So maybe there's like a folder name or something that's on it. But if somebody online or somebody, you could be on the other side of the planet, and you could look at the document and say, okay, this is the schematic for this, and have some sort of method to do that. You don't actually need people sitting in desks in one location. So I don't know if that's a normal thing that happens, but it really seems like crowdsourcing.
And that's what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to, what's the program that they do through NASA where they have all the pictures from the space station, and you can go in, it's like a citizen science project, you can go in and help them identify it.
Right.
Ideally, yes.
The same sort of thing.
That's what we want to be able to do, because, again, it also takes this incredible collection that's in the middle of McMinnville, in Oregon, right? I mean, we're a little off the beaten path,
it is.
But now anybody can access it,
right?
And it's equally accessible to kids who can come to the museum, who can afford to come to the museum,
right?
Who can, and to children who don't have that,
right?
And adults that don't have that ability.
Right.
So to be able to really make this a virtually engaging collection is kind of the ultimate goal of it. Right. To me, that's the best use of all of this material. So there are people that...
That's the best way to reach the most people. I mean, just like we're doing right now, right? We can't have however many people coming through and like walking into the collection with us. But when we get it online, we can share it with a lot more people who can't travel here, or, you got work tomorrow or whatever, so you couldn't be here, or you're on the other side of the planet or whatever. The whole sort of virtual digital engagement is such a great way to just reach places that, you don't need a plane ticket to come and see it.
Well, and museums, especially the larger museums, have this. So the Museum of Flight in Seattle works with Boeing. The Museum of Flight has a huge research collection, and you can contact them, like we've talked about, and say, "Hey, I'm doing a report on this, or I'm doing this," and they'll help you find that information. Right. So that's the other. When we get our research center going, we'll have that ability that people can call in and say, "Oh, I need this information," and they'll help you get the information.
They'll help you figure out where to find it.
Absolutely.
Right. As opposed to right now. So if right now somebody called in and asked, you couldn't have somebody who's like, "Oh, well, let me go and dig in the archives for 8 hours for you and come back here and like dig through the blueprints or whatever." There's steps to get to that point,
absolutely.
Right?
And our amazing team has cataloged a lot of this, and it's available. They keep it all online. They also keep hand records of everything in case online, something happens.
Yep.
But so we're slowly working through it. But you get from documents, and then you have things like this.
So we've been talking about documents and schematics and stuff like this, and then there's a shelf full of gauges. Just as it turns out, there's a propeller from something. It's just got a number on it, so I can't tell you what it is. I don't know if anybody wants to look that up. There's a whole bunch of gauges.
And then here's an American flag that somebody bought at Fred Meyer. I don't really understand.
All right, okay.
It could have a great story behind it. I don't know that story.
I mean, it's just the stacks and stacks of stuff. This is some sort of what is this here?
I'm not entirely positive, but I believe that these are
sheath
tests. Didn't we establish that these are the radios? These were from the Goose.
I don't know that we established it, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yes, they are from the Goose.
They're from the Goose. They're like radios you'd plug in. No kidding. This says a shear test on it, and it's got some like handwritten, like some pencil writing on it. I can't really read it.
Well, and this
but it's some sort of laminate.
This is going to be your dur mold, I think.
Yeah.
Here are your layers. When we talked
because we were talking about the layer going one direction, another
direction,
and they glue it all together and pressure it and like suck it down.
Yep.
So
there it is.
And this is just like sitting here, like
there's your spruce goose with after the
God.
Yep.
Also, there's a cabinet right next to me that says Hughes Steam Car. I didn't know Hughes designed a steam car.
I think that was here.
And some of these rolls say steam car on them.
They do. Yep.
Okay.
Are you leaving?
No, I got distracted.
It's a crate filled with drawings that's labeled Hughes Steam Car.
Yeah, he apparently according to Time Life, McGraw Hill, the rulers, I don't know.
Eon's just going around digging through
yeah,
stuff, like
there's
finding stuff to show. What is that flying over? Does it say on the back or anything, or it doesn't have any writing on the front?
I don't see any. There may be something underneath the frame.
Yeah. God, and then this one, yeah, did you get this one?
I'm zooming out now.
It says keep 'em flying. Is it signed Howie? It is signed Howie.
But see, this isn't actually Howard Hughes.
Yeah, okay.
That's
like,
that's
what's
one
going
of
on
our
with this?
people who, that's somebody who.
It's like a
sometimes
replica.
It's people who do. We have some people who is reenactment the right word?
Howard Hughes cosplay?
Cosplay. Thank you. Yes. There you go. That's exactly what that is.
Howard Hughes cosplay.
Kind of happens more often than you want to think it does. Yes, apparently Howard wanted to make a steam car in the mid-20s.
Right?
Yeah.
A steam car in the mid-20s.
So we did a little bit of research.
Did a little bit of doodling about the steam
right.
car.
And that's what yep, steam car, number 80, number 87,
Yeah, it is. It's literally labeled steam car on the side of it.
It's literally all about the steam car.
I'm trying to see if there's one that's not tied together, but they're all tied together.
Well, yeah, some of them are a little tiny, but yeah, steam car. See, now you found something.
There you go. Apparently that's a thing. But then, like, look that up. Like, Google Howard Hughes steam car and see what comes up.
Absolutely.
Want to know more? Like,
there it is.
we have some drawings. But we don't know exactly what we have here.
No, we don't.
Right? You have to go through and you'd have to digitize it and you'd have to catalog it and all the different things.
Here,
I mean,
let's just open one up to see.
All right, we're going to open one up.
Because, again, I have the magic pass, and the curator knows I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So
Gloves.
even with the magic pass, I
And
can
the
do
gloves,
anything.
yeah.
And the gloves. Mm-hmm. Is it?
Looks like my homework sometimes.
Right. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Street side. Okay, so it's.
It's a wheel. Or something.
I see some bolts and nuts.
Yeah,
on
there's
the
some
right
bolts
side.
and nuts on that side.
Yep. It's a giant.
We need some context,
Oh,
right?
Right.
Oh, and
It
it's
is
folded
upside
on
down.
that end. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
folded on
Oh,
that end.
wow.
So
Yeah, so
careful.
it's a giant.
Yeah. God.
Wow.
So just imagine getting this huge piece of paper and like, I'm just going to sketch out my steam car designs
Right,
right quick.
exactly. Yeah, and here's the gear train
Gear
study.
train study. 5x5 redesigned engine.
November 1st, 1928.
I can't read what that
You know,
says.
if you could do me a favor and
Yeah.
capture what he's got in his hands so he doesn't walk away with it. I mean, it's not that I don't
Just
trust
document
him,
the fact
but-
that he's like picking stuff up. We got it?
Yeah, so these are the steam car drawings. And another interesting thing is, so as you go to research these, you'll run into information from a gentleman named Irving,
Right.
who wrote a completely untrue story about Howard Hughes. I mean, his
Okay.
book, he says that it was Howard's biography. It was not. It wasn't. That wasn't how that worked. So don't, if you run into that, don't listen to him. What do you have here? Oh,
Got it.
okay. Oh, I've
Put that
never
towards the edge.
never seen that one before.
Oh, if you haven't seen that one, have you seen this one?
No. No. There you go. So we get great support from people like the astronauts. So apparently, STS 66 and STS 96.
Letter says we have to keep an eye on Elon.
We have to keep an eye on Eon. Just follow Eon with a it's no longer our stream camera. It's a security camera now.
Okay, here. Will you put these back? Will you bring our and show us the one of the?
I don't know where you put it.
I hid it from you. Promise.
I know you
should
did.
hit it from.
I know you did. That's why I haven't
That sounds
found
like
it
a
yet.
good plan. And I just put my phone is now an artifact. Where did I put it down?
I keep putting my phone down places too.
Well, there was
Eon's is
one
there.
over. Yeah, you were just holding yours
Wasn't
though.
I just holding mine?
Yeah.
My phone is lost at the
All
museum
fun
now.
games till everybody loses their phone.
Well, there was one over here. Let me.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. I'm taking chat.
You got it.
Mine's
Oh,
in
did
my
you find
pocket.
it?
You found it.
Mine's in my pocket, so we're good.
And who-
That's
Yeah,
mine.
I found
That's
it.
where I put chat.
Okay. So this is July 22nd, 1999. This piece of fabric from the Hughes flying boat, the Spruce Goose, was flown into space on the Columbia STS-93.
So there you go. There's all sorts of things. There's schematics to the Spruce Goose from the original sort of drawings and stuff, and there's a piece of Spruce Goose that went into space.
And that's signed by everybody that went
On
went
STS
into
93,
space.
you said? Yeah, 93.
Yeah,
Gah.
yeah. It's just on the shelf because
It's just on a
and
shelf.
it's all cataloged. It has its number on
We
it.
know that we have that one. Yeah, we know that we have
We
that
know
one.
that we have that one.
I mean, I like have this desire to open up every drawer, but every drawer is filled with the eye bolt, birch, birch, birch. It's like the different sizes of the pieces. Yeah, I don't even know what this is. I gotta find out what this is right quick. All right, take the piece of paper out, and it's just like rolled and put in there. It's from JPL.
Oh, thanks, JPL.
4 spacecraft models: Survey, Microspacecraft, Muse, Nano Rover, and the Galileo probe. So I don't know if that's this is part of it right here. The other spacecraft models, but I'm not sure which one of the 4 this is. Chat might be able to figure it out. 4 spacecraft models: Survey, all caps, Microspacecraft, Muse, Nano Rover, and the Galileo probe. Models received in varying degrees of disrepair, and excluding the Muse will require extensive work. Want to refurbish a model? Like, hey, this one needs a little bit of refurbishment, apparently.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle, except with things NASA sent us.
So this, I guess you could say that's another thing we talked with the restoration crew yesterday, the restoration volunteers. It's not just cataloging the things or digitizing the things or whatever. It's restoring the things a lot of the time.
Right.
So it's probably always a balance between keeping it in sort of a historical state versus making it so that it's going to continue to be in a historical state.
Absolutely. And you get into a lot of conversations, especially with curators, about what you fix. Are you going to repaint something?
Right,
Are you going to
exactly.
leave it original? Are you going to change it? There's a whole conversation people can have about the appropriate color for like military planes.
Right.
Like I've seen people spend 3 hours arguing
about the exact color of the shade.
Right.
I mean,
did the
exact shade is
Hindenburg
important.
Right. Was it matte or was it flat paint on the Hindenburg? And it is. It's important because it reflects what kind of paint they use.
Right.
You know, the weight of the paint, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
But, okay, so you should look at this.
Okay, I'm looking at this. Let's see.
That's a kneeboard you've got.
You said yesterday you like clipboards.
I'm coming over this way so I can put it down.
That's a pilot's kneeboard.
Yeah.
This
My brother
one,
is still actively flying. Uses one
apparently we have
clipboard.
a slice of the Willamette meteorite, which fell to Earth thousands of years ago, currently resides at the American Museum of Natural History. That's what it says on here, it says 2006. But I also have a box, looks like it was returned, because there's the same thing. It says in this case the source was the Evergreen Aviation Museum, right? And it shows who it came from and that sort of stuff, like who received it. But inside the box, whoa! Okay, that's not a little slice.
So in the museum yesterday, we saw a small piece of it. And chat. It's Willamette. You have to be a local to pronounce it. But it's called...
What did I said? Willamette?
Willamette.
You should...
Willamette? Willamette.
I love...
Willamette.
We get lazy with our syllables.
Willamette.
We occasionally
It's a lot of
one or
work.
two off.
That's a lot of work. But the Willamette chat, the Willamette meteorite, where did it actually land?
Willamette?
Yes.
You just pronounce it differently and it's a different place. I don't know. Where did it actually land? Anybody know?
They're going to find out for
I'm not
us.
even looking. Yeah, y'all find out. There you go.
Yes, so this is a slice of it.
So you can see like the pattern. What's the name of the pattern? The Wammerstatter? I never pronounce it correctly. But you can even see like we're in the Aviation Museum, but here's a piece of the crystallization. The only way that metal crystallizes is because it's in like the deep space, coldness, vacuum of space, and it has so long to sort of cool down because it doesn't have a great way to get rid of the heat. You get these really cool sort of patterns, and those are metal crystals on a meteorite slice. You can see. It's a big meteorite if this is a slice of it.
Someone's going to tell you how big it was.
Yeah. Anybody? Did we get it in chat yet?
Not yet.
It's just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And there's like on the slice on the back, like this side. So to get that to come out, you sort of etch it, right? You put a material, or you put a chemical on it, and it etches that, so you can really see. You see the other side where it's been sliced, but you don't really see the crystal pattern as well. Literally, what you're looking at is an etched surface of the sliced meteorite, so you can see the metal crystals that cooled and formed when it was cooling down in space. Gah. Find more information on that for me. Did anybody get it yet? Nope.
Somebody said it landed on Earth.
It landed on Earth.
I believe it actually landed in Montana.
In Montana.
I believe is what happened, and then it ended up...
Like a farmer from Willamette went just like, oh, I'm just going to drag this back with my truck. I mean, wait, what? Something happened.
Yes. Something happened to get it from there to here, and it wasn't a farmer with a truck. So.
It wasn't a farmer with a truck.
Not a farmer with a truck.
Good to know.
Yep.
That's just cool. Did you get like a good zoom on that? Is the angle good and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
God.
This looks like a valid source. It was 10 feet tall, 6.5 feet wide, by 4.25 feet.
Gosh.
That is not small.
No, it's not.
10 feet tall is as tall as the...
425.
That's more than one eon.
That's more than one eon. That's like
1.6
1.21 gigaeons or whatever. Like,
That's a lot of eons.
oh, here's the like. I know what this is. This is one
Right?
of the yeah.
Right? And I thought that's what I was trying to get him to say. That this one
Right.
These are what they found in the Goose.
Right.
It's from Sears and Roebuck.
It's from Sears and Roebuck.
Right.
So
if you're
Howard Hughes just like went around and bought all the beach balls from Sears and Roebuck.
Right. So if you need a beach ball to make sure that your world's largest airplane doesn't get, a crack in its pontoon and hold too much water, you go to Sears and Roebuck.
And you buy a bunch of beach balls.
Where he picked up his Keds, I believe, was how the story went.
You say Keds, like the shoes?
Keds, tennis shoes, yeah.
Keds, my mom used to wear those.
Right, I did too, because of Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
As a little kid. Just
Howard Hughes, nice.
My cat's Howard Hughes. It's not okay. But yeah, so you just went down to, or you sent somebody down to Sears and Roebuck, and you went, could you pick me up?
I don't think you understood. I meant all the beach balls.
All the beach
Buy
balls.
all the beach balls.
Defiant wanted me to show this.
Here, I'm going to back over this way. What is that one? Is it like a... Is
Cut
it
out
a
1968, December
print
6th.
or something? Or is it like
Yeah, it feels like a print.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like it's like a
Time
wall sign or
magazine.
something like that. Yeah. Nice.
Apparently there was a Time magazine about the race for space. Look at that. They were racing. We won.
We won. She's like, we won. Peace
Oh,
out.
did I?
No, when we come around, get the get the Sears and Roebuck. So, we were talking, right? We were talking about it, and we saw the big pontoons that are as big as the fuselage of some of the other planes, right? And the pontoons are just like a shell. And if one of the pontoons gets cracked or breaks or something like that, it could start to fill with water. And pontoons filled with water don't float as well as pontoons that aren't filled with water, right? So just in case there was a crack or something like that, apparently they went and they bought all the beach balls from Sears and Roebuck's, and they blew them up, and it looks like they were sealed somehow, and they filled the pontoons with beach balls. So even if it got cracked and water started to get in, it still wouldn't get inside the beach ball. But the craziest thing about it, it's a heavy-duty beach ball, by the way.
Right, not just any old.
It's made of Vinylite brand plastics. It's still got, I'm going to say this, and I may be wrong, and somebody's going to be like, actually, DOS, the membrane allows an exchange over the time, whatever. Air from 1940-something.
Yep.
Inside the beach ball. So not only do we have schematics and pieces of meteorites and models from JPL, we have air from 1940-something. Or whenever they would have blown that up.
So yesterday we saw the Starship.
1950-something. No, that's not the right year. 1960-something. What did we say?
The 47.
47. All right.
47.
1940-something.
So
Thank
47.
you. Yeah,
so
yeah.
yesterday, day before, it's all kind of a blur now.
Right. It's just one big blur.
The Starship, the airplane that was outside,
Right.
was developed. It's got. You can always tell if something's developed by Burt Rutan because it's got canards in the front.
Because it's got canards and pusher props. Like, what?
That's his thing. That's what he does. So this is a picture. Jenny Yeager and Burt Rutan flew this little tiny thing around the world. And so
Flew this little tiny
they
thing
signed
around
it
the
for us, and they put a little nice note that said, "Today's dreams are tomorrow's realities." And there it is. So this is what I love about coming in here, because you have this, and you go from this to... We don't smoke, children. It's bad for you. Adults, no, you don't. That's not a thing we do. But here's a whole box of sample packs of cigarettes.
Sample packs of cigarettes.
That were here's your Marlboro, but made for Air France.
Made for Air France
So
with compliments of Air France.
Not only could you smoke
The
on
airline
a
would
plane,
give you
they would
cigarettes.
give you the cigarettes.
What?
And it's a whole bunch of different airlines that you have in here that, and somebody collected these. Here's Pan Am.
Pan Am.
Compliments of Pan Am.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some Salems.
Yeah. There's just Braniff. Yeah. If you haven't heard of these actually were airlines.
How the times have changed.
Yes, absolutely. So they just give you your
Here's your
cigarettes.
complimentary cigarettes when you board. It's like we don't even get pretzels nowadays. They used to hand
you
out
don't even
cigarettes.
get,
Like, what?
you don't even get peanuts now, but so again, that's something that somebody held on to
Yep.
and donated to
I had a
us.
box of it, and they did this. And then there's this thing.
Right,
That's the bomb
data
tar-
plate.
That's the bomb targeting.
There's your-
trainer I found.
It's a
data
bomb
plate.
targeting trainer.
Yep. Here you go.
Yeah, you want to zoom in on the data plate there?
Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, here. It's a trainer stereoscopic M2. Bosch and Lohm.
Sure.
It's Bosch and Lohm. I wonder what they're known for. Optics, maybe?
Right. I'm just fascinated over here, so.
I know. We're in one little
That's
corner
fine.
of the
There was a
collection.
question about that box anyway.
About which box?
box?
Yeah,
About the
what was in
cigarettes
that?
or
What was
the?
in
Oh,
that?
that one down there.
So
Was the
this.
question? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the? Yeah,
Hey,
that's
hey.
what we should call this. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
So this is miscellaneous from different airlines. So you had Northwest and say yes, Hughes Air West. There's something in it.
There's something in that.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
I don't know what's pilots in that.
Does that cane just say yes on it?
Yes, it does.
What is that?
What is that?
I have no clue.
It's and I'm gonna the Hughes. I believe this is the logo. Wasn't this from Hughes? The Hughes logo. At some point.
At this point, you're looking at me for
I'm looking over there because you all have the phones and the
Those
chat.
look like chopsticks.
These are chopsticks.
It's just some
from,
chopsticks.
from Northwest. And then there's a box.
Oh,
From
apparently you
Alaska.
can buy a back issue of That Time magazine for $20 on Amazon.
On Amazon, nice.
Do we get a Twitch discount?
So Horizon Air, if you've ever heard of Horizon Air, which is, I don't know if it's more of a Pacific Northwest thing. Horizon Air was started by Bruce McCaw and some incredibly interesting men, and then it was purchased by Alaska, so they're now partner companies. So this is just a little promo thing from 1998.
Just a little
from
promo
Alaska
thing.
and Horizon. Yeah. Milt Colt was the gentleman that founded Horizon, and I was lucky enough when I was in college, I was studying airline management and flight technology. And he,
you can go to college for that?
You can. It's a thing.
For airline management?
For airline management.
What?
More importantly, for flight technology, which means you just get to learn about airplanes and how you fly them and how you operate them for years. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But Milt Colt came and talked to us, and he was, again, just these guys were such pioneers. They were just like, oh, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go start an airline now.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have some extra time. Let's start an airline. So, yes, that's what's... Oh, yeah, this...
The Hughes Airs West. Yeah, actually, that's what you said. Shattermage said Hughes Airs West, North Central, Southern, all merged to make Republic Airlines.
His
dad flew for Republic Airlines.
Right.
Shattermage is one of our pilots that watches the streams and watches the show.
And then Republic Airlines, was he still with them?
Merged with Northwest. Yeah, exactly. The whole history is right here in chat right now.
And then it was all purchased by Delta.
So your dad flew for Northwest?
My dad flew for Northwest.
Your dad flew for Northwest.
And he started with Northwest, so he was with Northwest the whole time. But yeah, the airlines are fascinating. Someday I'm going to make a giant family tree of the airlines.
Family tree of airlines. That's a cool idea.
It's just, there are so many of them. And there were a whole bunch of them. And then they became more regulated, and there weren't a lot. And then there were a whole bunch of them after deregulation in 78.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to look at how they come and go. And the airlines that were huge, when I was studying airline management in the 80s, most of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, it's Western.
It's like merged into other things or moved around.
Pan Am. I mean, no one would have ever thought Pan Am wouldn't still be around.
Yes. He said his dad was Northwest Airlines with the Republic merger, and his dad retired from Delta. He said, your dad was with Northwest? Like, what?
Yes. See, my dad retired before the Delta thing. The Republic merger was really tough on the company and the way it went. And so Dad was done after that. But yeah, my dad started in 66 and flew until 96 for Northwest.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go, Shatterman.
And again, one of those stories, my dad was raised actually about a half hour from here. To a very poor family. I mean, my grandma was a librarian, but she was raising 4 kids. And my dad went to school on a track scholarship.
On a track scholarship?
To be a teacher.
Wow.
And when he was 21, he was about to graduate, he went for flight on an airplane. And fell in love with flying.
Aww.
So he and my mom had 3 of us. Dad mowed vacant lots to afford his flight lessons.
Wow.
Paid for his own lessons with 250 hours, which ask the pilots how many hours you need now to get hired by an airline. In 1966, he had 250 hours in our family plane, and he got hired by Northwest.
He got hired by Northwest with 250.
He got hired by Northwest. So he started his career there, and he ended up flying the 747. And he flew what he would always call at that time the Orient routes. And that's just what he did. And you've never met anyone who loved what they did as much as my dad did. I mean, he flew for a living, then he came home and flew. And
he flew for a living, came home and flew. Nice.
I mean, it was just what he did, but just one of those incredible, what he committed to his ability, so he could learn to fly, and so he could do this, and just amazing. And so I have 2 younger brothers that are both Navy pilots. I have 4 brothers total, and they all learn to fly.
Sort of runs in the family, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean,
it's a thing. There's some sort of gene or something. I don't know.
I always laugh when I was 16. He told me I had to learn to fly. I cried. I mean, I was a 16-year-old girl. I didn't want to.
You have to learn to fly.
Right. And it was like and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm so glad, my dad. Thank you for winning that argument.
Forced to learn to fly at 16. What a terrible life.
I know, but it truly did. I mean, and it changed my life too. So and Dad it was just because somebody happened to give him a ride in a plane. It wasn't, we're going to turn him into a pilot. That wasn't even a thing in the 60s.
He just sort of had one experience with it that changed everything else.
Changed his life. Yeah, just amazing. So yes, Dad flew for Northwest, and he loved it.
No
I'm
kidding.
putting Hughes away. I'm going to put away my yes can.
Apparently, we've got a couple. Somebody posted up a Delta family airline tree for Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines family tree with a bunch of Delta Airlines stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
and then somebody was joking about this. This is the early virtual reality headset on the floor here. Yes, not very comfortable for long use periods. I actually can't even pick it up really. The early Oculus Rift.
Yeah, see? There it is.
No kidding.
These are the same people that had to walk 12 miles
Yeah,
uphill in the snow.
uphill in the snow both ways.
This was
back in my day, virtual reality.
This was my virtual
Yeah.
reality. What'd you find over there?
What'd you find? A space shuttle tile. Is it a real space shuttle tile? It looks like a real space shuttle tile. It's got the look. It's
That
chipped
looks
on
like
the
a
edge.
flown.
Is it actually? No, flip it around. Flip it.
There's
does it
nothing.
say
There's
anything
no
on
writing
the
on the
back?
back. Yeah.
Space shuttle tile, HRSI, high temperature reusable surface insulation, total tiles, protection, composition, black tile coating. I don't know. Is that like a legit one?
That's got to be a sample or something
tell you a
because there's no
little
serial
secret.
number.
Yeah,
I mean, it
that's what I was
looks
just
right
gonna say,
inside,
just
but it
the
doesn't have any markings on it.
If you're an educator or you happen to work for a museum,
Right.
you can go on NASA's
go online, there's a
website,
website, yep.
on what's the government GSA. They have a NASA.
I get it in the educational mailings. You
Yes.
can sign up for the educational mailing list, and
Absolutely.
they always have it at the bottom.
Yeah, and you can go on and you can get free tiles. They
Right.
have some
The
turbine blades.
loan tiles.
No,
Loan tiles.
they'll send them to you.
They'll send them to you, but
They'll send them to you, and it's not a loan. They just give them.
Well, it's
to
not
you.
a loan.
because they weren't flown. Most of them weren't flown items. They're
Okay.
just from the test.
Like a
So
test
they have,
tile or something
They
like
have
that. Okay.
some turbine blades, and sometimes they have space food they give away.
a turbine blade.
But
Just
as
like,
a,
it's
right,
like, what's this
right.
box
And
at the door,
and,
honey?
Oh, and then shuttle blanket, chunks of the shuttle blanket.
The blankets, the thermal blankets over the top.
Yes.
Ah,
And
no
you can
kidding.
get samples of those. NASA will send them to you, so you can use them to educate
For your
people.
educational stuff.
Yep. Yep. So if you're an educator, you just go on, you sign up for an account,
Yeah.
and you pay for shipping, and they
Yep.
send it to you.
No kidding.
Yeah. I know. NASA.
We need to qualify as an educational institution is what we need to do.
Right.
I'll give you a
Cut me off and I was going to talk about that.
kerbal.edu email address or something.
Exactly,
So,
and we'll get to that.
oh, here's another word to the Evergreen Air and Space Museum with my best wishes, and we've got astronaut Lieutenant General Thomas P. Stafford with a Saturn V back behind him.
Sure, why
Gemini 6, Gemini 9, Apollo 10, and Apollo Soyuz. No big deal. He was just like running around the museum, like picking up stuff, like, oh, come check this out. Come check this out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't. Karen, you're right. It didn't have the markings for the location of the tile. Also, it was never refurbished because it didn't have the hole in the middle where they would put in the Thompson's water seal. I mean, I can say that, the Thompson's water seal, to make the same thing. Let me see. Yeah, the waterproofing. Exactly, Glessa. You got it. You got it. And you can see the inside of it because it's black on the outside, but if it gets a little chip or something, it literally looks like a white styrofoam sort of thing on the inside. Y'all are right. You know. We have some people sort of hanging out. It doesn't have the numbers. You're right. This is amazing that I can scroll with these gloves on. Your third gen, Shatter's a third gen pilot. Actually, Shatter just, what did Shatter? Was it like you're officially cleared now? You're officially captain? You got your 4 stripes now? Like as of Thursday, I think?
Wow!
He's just moving to the other seat. Like he was just finishing that up.
Fantastic.
I saw him last weekend up in Boston. He came to one of the gaming conventions. So,
That's wonderful.
what an interesting museum, huh?
Yeah. These are just some wings.
God.
And
Where should we go next? Should
I
we
don't
walk-
know.
I mean, just like walk up the aisle. Just reached a
Northwest
new
Service
height. There's just like all sorts of.
oh, look.
I love this
Yeah,
when
it's
you
coming
guys
over.
look-
Some people who shoot for the moon actually get there.
So
Rub it in.
and this is Joe Engel, who we talked about yesterday, because he signed.
Yep.
Oh, as of yesterday.
As of yesterday. There you go. It's Shattermage. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. I don't know what this is. Towering
pin.
Achievement. Oh, they're going to
Got a
Paris.
thing. Paris
So
route.
we talked about Joe Engel yesterday because he signed the plane that's up above the SR-71.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
So
that's
he-
we zoomed in on that yesterday, right?
Apparently he signed some other things too.
Yeah,
so
okay, cool.
yes.
We need to find the clip of that and send it to the museum so we can be like, here's a...
Yes.
Put a tablet down below the plane. It's like, if you want to see the signature,
Yeah, here it is.
visit
Here's-
twitch.tv/gospel.
Right. Here's what it is.
There's some models. Look at the old models.
There are some models, and then there's a bike.
And there's a bike, too.
We're not really
This is
sure
just
what
like
that's all
old...
about.
an old model kit. Look at this. I'm not going to open it up. Authentic helicopter scale models manufactured by Helicopters for Industry Incorporated. I mean, they're so... There's more. It's a stack of models. There's a model of a radial aircraft engine. Here's more models. There's just...
There's a really cool model.
There's another cool model on the other side. We have to like go up and down the aisles.
Yeah, it's kind of fantastic. So.
Interpretation kit, photographic army type.
I'll make you a deal.
Yes?
We agreed on Friday that you're going to give me keys to the goose.
Right, absolutely.
I will settle for this.
Ah, look at that.
Okay. Well, let's see what we can do for you. That's not bad at all, is it?
Yeah, it's just like walking around like, here's the thing, and here's the thing, and here's the thing.
And here's the thing.
What is this?
Oh,
I don't know what this is. Just one second. Look, there's pictures underneath it, but I'm not even sure what this is.
Looks like something EJ builds.
It looks like something EJ builds in Kerbal. Yeah, let's can it.
See if we can.
There you go, got it.
Translate.
Wait,
Okay.
is that a Hughes flying boat trailer?
No, Hughes flying boat trailer.
Sort of boat trailer.
No, 1992.
I don't.
There's a little important
Oh,
message
no.
down on the end here.
There's something
Well, that's the only reason I can think you'd have wheels on the side like that if it was a boat.
You're right, because that's sort of what it looks
Or
like.
something coming out of water, yeah.
Part separated from artifact. Okay.
Not really all that helpful, is it?
It's that important message. It's got to be the important message. All right, what does that
Okay.
one say?
Didn't have time to solder the model today. We'll be back next week to do it.
Well, apparently not.
Dated.
4/11.
Oh, 4/11. That's like a week ago.
Apparently,
It's a couple days ago.
James, you still owe us some soldering. I mean, I'm just saying.
You still owe us some
I
soldering.
don't. This will be a good.
I don't even know what it is.
Quick
Chat,
chat.
figure out what this is.
Good luck, chat.
Yeah. I mean, it does. It looks like it's got some sort of mechanism at the front to sort of let a boat roll up onto it or something. Not roll up onto it, but and it's all articulated and everything. Look.
Yeah.
Okay, moving
All right.
along.
I'm gonna set that on.
Restore these. Yeah, fine.
Put that in there.
Okay,
What you
moving
got?
right along.
so I realized this answered our questions from yesterday after stream.
Okay.
This is
Oh, those are the.
yeah.
That's
so
what's sitting in the back parking lot.
this right here, the center core up to here,
Yep.
is the first section on the floor. We walked through here,
Yep.
and that right there is the second stage
Yep.
that they have on the floor. Museum doesn't have this part,
Yep, the
but
fairing
they've
at
got
the
the
top.
3 sections here, and
Three
Jack?
sections of boosters in the
Chat,
back.
can you give me that? I mean, I'm just saying. Does someone have that? 'Cause
Does anybody have a fairing from a Titan 4 SRM?
we could use that for our collection.
We
so.
need that. You have to like poke a hole in the top of the building so that it goes up out the top of the building.
Details, just details.
So those
Technicalities.
3 sections, the nose cone and the connectors there, and the vents down there. What
Yep.
we have out in the parking
It's all
lot.
out in the parking lot next to the A10, as
Right.
it turns out.
Where else would it be?
Oh, look at this old United logo on here. Look.
Yes.
The Collector Series for United Airlines. I mean, we're literally rummaging through this.
Well,
Executive Air Travel Program.
and
Not even gonna
here,
look at everything.
so TWA, which also, and Howard Hughes was partial owner of TWA for a while, but
Right.
they're no longer around. But yeah, so they used to give these. This is just your toiletry kit.
The
that they
toiletry
give you
kit,
when you got on
just
the
hand it
plane,
out.
right? Because you needed
It's like
that.
that's back when people would get dressed up to go flying, as opposed to your
Absolutely.
sweatpants or whatever we fly in nowadays, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's
Like it was like a formal affair almost to
was.
get on the plane and fly
It-
somewhere.
It really was. I
Yep.
mean, it was. People didn't do it.
Yep.
I mean, it just didn't. So in the 70s, because my dad worked for the airline, we had passes.
Right.
But girls wore dresses, boys wore suits,
Yep.
or you didn't get on the plane.
Yep.
First time I ever wore jeans on a plane, I felt like I should apologize to my dad.
Right.
Because I was just, thought I was really doing something wrong. But yeah, so they'd give you these great little kits. Mm-hmm. I think this is your little shaving kit.
A
And
ping pong paddle.
sometimes there's a ping pong
Your
paddle.
complimentary? No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Not a complimentary ping pong paddle on the plane. Eon's back again.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Jennifer Smith, Miss Wishy Hospitality.
That's the same pilot.
Is that sung by Safford again? Yeah, it is.
That's not bad.
Are we getting that with a light? We're not getting like a light reflection off that, are we?
Well, it's mostly coming off of the ceiling.
The ceiling,
actually.
yeah. So when you do it, tilt it down a little
There
bit
you
like
go.
that. Yeah,
That's good.
Exactly.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
We just keep walking. What do we have here?
High altitude flight.
Did you just like shove some boots at me?
I mean, yeah.
So there is a set of U.S. Air Force right here, high altitude flight boots. Apparently, yeah, that's what it says. High altitude flight boots from 2000. It says 2007 is probably when it was received, but they're tagged and boxed like everything else in the museum.
Yep.
It's actually the left boot tagged on that side. Can you see that? The left boot, and I would assume that the other one is tagged. Yep, the right boot. Here you go.
I told you, not
Thank
just anybody
you.
can do this job.
Not everybody can do this job. I mean, this looks like another sort of Lieutenant Colonel Walker's Marine Corps insignia and ribbons sort of displayed there, but it's like one more thing in the aisle of things. Oh, the B-29 Gunner's Information File from General Electric. So, another thing here, I don't know if we can get that, the B-29 Gunner's Information File. What is in a gunner's information file? I want to be careful opening it up. Looks like pictures. Oh no! Do's and don'ts. Previous to mission, check every little item yourself. Consult the checklist. Do not relax vigilance. Life is too short. It is difficult and sometimes impossible to correct oversights and malfunctions in flight. Do not overheat your guns. Do not maltreat them in the air. They are your sole protection. It is important to get accuracy with overheated guns. Or no, it's impossible to get accuracy with overheated guns. Overheating your guns will make the enemy happy and increase his lifespan, and it may decrease yours. Gosh. The way that it's like the tone that it's sort of written in, you know, like, listen up, moron.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay attention. Your life is on the line here. Like,
because somebody wants to, apparently we've got something we need to
and there's
show
a mug
them.
as well. What is that? Mars landing the Viking. Oh my gosh. Where did this come from?
I'll put
there
this
we go.
book over here.
It's like a Fallout. You're right. It's like Fallout style graphics. You're right. Oh, and then there's just a bomb on the shelf here. Don't lean against, like, oh yeah, so welcome to the museum.
Yeah.
Lean against the bomb. It's like a training bomb or something like that, probably, right? It's heavy as all get out. Yeah. I mean, maybe.
That'd be a concrete training.
Let's go on a living thing. We hope
Let's
that's
just
a
keep
training.
walking.
And we're
There's some exhaust headers.
so this is this is
American
his
Airways.
airline log. So this is
His airline log.
So in the 40s, this is the training that he was doing, the type of aircraft he flew with Pan Am.
No
But
kidding.
so this is all of in
It's got the flights, the type.
314. So he was flying one of the Clippers. Mm-hmm. 1941. And
Where it went to and the
Yeah.
number, the tail number, the license number and stuff.
yeah. And of course the Clippers, they're all gone now, unfortunately. But yeah, so they were kind
We're
enough
just
to
like
donate
walking
the
up the
logbooks.
aisle and looking at all this stuff. There's so much stuff. And again, if you're wondering where they are, there's probably some people like, what are they even doing right now? We're at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. We've got like a bonus stream today. We streamed all day long on Friday. We streamed all day long on Saturday. We visited their aviation building, which has the spruce goose in it, the massive wooden airplane. We sort of crawled around inside. I can say that, right? Crawled around inside.
you did,
Literally
you
crawled
did.
around inside. Yesterday we were at the space building where we had the SR-71, which is almost a
Yes.
spaceship that we spent almost 3 hours sort of sitting inside. And then today we had so much time because we played Kerbal on their IMAX.
Yeah, we did.
We checked out the
Watched the
DC-3. We
launch.
sat inside and listened to stories. We watched the ULA launch on the IMAX as well, on the IMAX size screen. And so we didn't have time to come back here, which is the archives. It's like the behind-the-scenes place. These are all the artifacts and sort of pieces that the museum has that aren't on display for the public. And we have our past with us. I'm just going to say our past with us. Julia, the director of
Badge.
development, who's sort of escorting us here. Like this is why we're all gloved up and sort of looking at these things. But literally just walking through the archives at the museum and seeing all of the cool things that they have. So if you're wondering what's going on, or you're sort of like, what are they doing walking around in a filing cabinet stream or whatever, that's what we're doing right now. We're looking at some of the artifacts that you normally wouldn't get to, and that's all thanks to the museum who sort of got us escorted back into this location so we could share it with you. We're even talking about some opportunities where the museum's working on some ways that maybe you could volunteer and help with this stuff. If you're local, they're going to be scanning things in.
Yep.
They offer some sort of training if there's an internship thing, if with
Absolutely.
local
People are
universities
interested.
and stuff like that. Because it's not just Julia back here like every day like trying to
Right.
organize things. There's volunteers that come in, like the docents that were talking with us yesterday and telling us stories, I don't know, about the rocket engine that he built.
Yeah, he did. He built that.
He's like, do you want to walk over and check out the rocket engine I built? I'm like,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So this is another one of the logbooks, but I like this entry here.
Crash landed. September 1946, the flight, and it says crash landed. C-54?
Yes. Yeah. So he had a little trouble.
It's just in the log.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no
all
big
of
deal.
his-
It's just
he
in the
flew
log.
Constellation. He flew. Yeah. Who checked? They're fantastic. Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to share with
Leon
us?
apparently has
or-
found something else that he wants to share. What did you find now?
You should probably read this plaque.
So let's see how close up. How close can you get to that?
Real close.
Come on, Commander of Apollo 10. Medallion was placed in a lunar module called Snoopy by Grumman officials prior to launch. After reaching lunar orbit, my LM pilot, Eugene Cernan, and I undocked Snoopy from the command service module. Charlie Brown was descended during our two low masses. We made our map, so it's about what they were doing. Conclusion of our survey work. The first rendezvous and docking. Yep. Bag containing the LM medallions was transferred to the CSM for the... Now wait. The LM medallions...
This thing right
The
here
LM
by my
medallion was on the surface?
It was
It
orbiting.
was in orbit of the
It
moon.
was
That's what I was
Apollo
trying to
10.
read. Yeah, because it's LM module, but it says LM medallions. Was the first, that Snoopy was the first LM to be flown to the moon. I'm going to read this because I want to understand. Placed in our lunar module, after reaching orbit, undocked, descended, was the first LM flown to the moon, radar mapped. I think that went down to the surface, Ian.
No.
No, it didn't?
Apollo 11 laying on the surface. It's Apollo 10.
No, you're right. Thank you. That was the decoupled. That was Apollo 10. Thank you. That's right, because it was in the LM, but they just disconnected. Yep. Ah, that's what it is right there. That I'm like, did that go to the moon? So that
it went to the moon.
Disconnected.
Yes.
And they were doing the sort of maneuvering for Apollo 10. Yes. I said Apollo 10 at the very beginning, then I was so excited about it. I'm like, ah! And then it came back. If that didn't go down to the surface, that was in the lunar module when they undocked it and redocked it.
Finish reading the plaque.
Finished reading the plaque. Transferred in the CSM for return to Earth. Set the record for the fastest speed ever attained by a human, 28,547 statute miles per hour. Should stand until an astronaut crew returns from a mission to Mars. Nice. For our return to Earth, the medallion was attached to the tie class with our mission number. And we have the signatures on the patch sort of thing over there.
This
the
flag went orbited the moon.
The flag also flown to the moon on Apollo 10. And it's signed by Tom Stafford.
And there's the letter
And there's the letter of authenticity. No kidding. So there is a pin, the medallion, that was flown around the moon on Apollo 10. Just sitting back here.
Put it on a tie tack for you.
Put it on a tie tack for you.
Right.
No kidding. I got too excited about it. I'm like, wait, what? Is that a thing?
You guys
That's
can
an
get back to the
Apollo
airport on your
Soyuz
own.
picture on the other side,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
You can get back to the airport on your own, right?
You can get back to the airport on your own. Now I feel silly because I was so excited. I was like, wait, it was in the LM, though. It was in the LM, but it was Apollo 10, which was like the dress rehearsal sort of thing for Apollo 11. I still don't know. I mean, super high discipline and training as an astronaut. I still don't know if that I was in Apollo 10. I wouldn't have tried to, I think was it a myth or not that they didn't put enough fuel in the tanks? I can't remember. There's something about that. Chat will correct me, but it's like, well, just in case they want to put it down on the moon for 10. I don't remember if they did something with the lander that would mean not a good idea to land it. But
I kind of distracted chat for a moment.
You kind of distracted chat?
You remember when we talked about the Fulton recovery system and Spy Sat?
Yeah.
Canisters?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wait, really?
Maybe.
It's like a film canister?
There are two film reels.
Right?
Or two canisters of film sitting here that are marked for official use only.
Okay.
It's classified. And they are marked Southeast Asia, 1973.
1973. There's so much cool stuff here, y'all. These look like pictures of a P-38 or something. It's moving in storage boxes, headers, like a wall plaque sort of thing. I think here, he picked that one up. That's the Collins. Yeah, that was the one that Ian brought over earlier. Signed by Collins, Ashby, Coleman, Hawley, from STS-93. That's the piece of the spruce goose skin. That's right, we went past that one. Some propeller sorts of things and stuff. There's apparently... Whoa, that's heavier than I thought. Look, chat. This thing...
Don't drop it.
This is a solid... This must be a trainer of some sort or something. It's a solid piece of metal that must weigh...
It'll probably be concrete on the inside.
It's all the way through, look.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how much that weighs, but it must weigh 30 or 40 pounds because I'm starting to shake holding this
Give it
little
about
thing
30
up.
seconds, Gene will tell you.
Yeah, Gene, what is this thing? It has a tag. No, it does have a tag on the back. So let's very carefully put that back down this way. Is that a slide rule? There we go. All right, being super careful with it. Does it say? It says practice bomb. Yeah, Bud 33, 25 pounds, so I'm weaker than I thought. Practice bomb is what that one was. And then this is a M29 3.5-inch rocket right next to it. We'll leave that one here. This is tagged.
BDU-33, trainer bomb.
It's a trainer bomb?
Yep.
Nice.
Flight characteristics of a Mark 82.
I'm not exactly sure why this Microsoft joystick is here,
Oh, you want to know why?
but it's tagged.
So Julia mentioned earlier that they get a lot of random donations.
A lot of random donations like this Microsoft joystick?
Well, that Microsoft joystick probably went with this drawer full of versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator.
A drawer full of versions of Microsoft. Look at this thing. I don't even know what that is.
Hey,
For 24 volts, it says. Bosch and Lohm. It's a massive camera of some sort. But the tag says that it is a...
Drawer full.
Removed from displays case, Don Ford. It just has the display case, but it doesn't say what that...
Do you really have a drawer full of...
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Is that really what it is?
It's a drawer full of...
There's a couple patches over here.
I set this over there.
I feel like Eon was over here, y'all.
I'm just staging things now instead of interrupting you.
You had it for Microsoft Flight 98? Nice. It's one of the Microsoft Sidewinders. Had great force feedback. Everybody knows about the joystick. No kidding. So there's tons of mission patches over here. STS 21, 22, 20... Oh, wait. Shuttle program logo. STS 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... So it's STS 12 through 22. 2 of 13? Wait.
I'm sorry, do I...
This is 12 of 13. Are these like framed copies of all the shuttle patches?
Are these the framed copies of all the Well, it looks like it, because he's...
He keeps bringing stuff over. Look.
He does.
That's 13 of 13.
Should I organize them in order?
It's got the teacher in space, the MMU patch. This is probably really hard to get on the camera, right?
Yeah.
Like the detail of any of these things lying down.
The
Yeah.
reflection of lights is the worst part of it.
Yeah.
I can get like kind of one row at a time if I move the camera.
Approach
There
and
you go.
landing
That's
test.
perfect.
Yeah, there you go. STS 134, the shuttle mirror program, the shuttle chase team patch, a memorial for 107.
So what I'm planning on doing, as soon as you turn the camera away, is I'm going to lay these all out in order and get pictures of everyone.
That's crazy. And every one of them has the
There's
space
a
shuttle.
stack over there all in the same framing.
An entire stack of all the different. Wow. And it's like even this sort of thing. You have this. Where do you put this? In the museum. Like you need a wall that has. It said 13 of 13.
Yeah.
And these are 2 feet by 2 feet.
It's that stack on the end of the table right over there.
Gene says, imagine how much EJ would be freaking out right now if he were here.
I know.
You mean how much he's probably freaking
You
out
want those
right
Manassas
now
patches
anyway?
look so cool. Imagine how much EJ was. You know the all right. So you know the jokes where you like where you swap out like a picture of your family with a picture not of your family and see if anybody notices. I'm gonna get like a Kerbal Space Academy patch and like
I've got my moderator one.
in like 10 years from now it ends up in an exhibit somewhere and like why is STS 68 wasn't the Kerbal Space Academy? Like wait what? Oh no. I don't even know. I mean, what time is this? 12:02 right now.
How's it already 12:02?
Yeah, it's already
Oh,
12. Yeah, there you
wow.
go.
We have
the
hours.
Kerbal Space Academy patch. There you go. We just swap it in. Nobody will know.
No.
Just do. We put it on STS 60 there. No big deal. Don't tell anybody, chat.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
It's our little secret.
It's our little secret. Yeah, somebody clip that and show it to EJ when he goes live in a bit. And be like, next time I tell you there's a cool museum to visit. I'm not joshing.
Did you see this? That's really not bad either. December 8th, 1941.
God.
Okay.
Just newspapers framed from the Oregon Journal. It's actually a
From
local
Oregon,
newspaper
yep,
from
absolutely.
Portland, Oregon. December 8th, 1941, which is a day after December 7th. God.
To be the guy that chat can hate.
Yeah.
You mentioned the time.
Yes.
Remember the time I told you earlier?
1 hour.
Yes.
We have 1 hour when we have to be heading out the front door.
Right.
So,
We're still looking.
right.
It's
It's
probably
raining.
raining. It's probably raining too much. I don't want to take the gear
But
outside.
if you stand in that corner over there, you can get good shots of
You
them.
want us to zoom in?
So people won't be angry.
We're going to use the zoom. It's raining outside, and we were talking about the A10. I posted up some cool pictures of the A10, but right quick. I'm going to stop asking. It's radar thing.
Yeah. I have a camera, a phone, and a tablet somewhere in this museum.
Luckily, it's not a very big building.
All right. Oh, you can't see the gun, though. So if you zoom in all the way over there. See if you can get it, like put your arm on the thing. Here we go, chat, with some extreme zoom right quick. Oh, EJ won't be live because it's Sunday. You're right. EJ won't be live until tomorrow. Let's see what we can do with the zoom here so we can do our field trip to the A10 that's in the back parking lot. Oh, it's got a little bit of zoom, doesn't it? Unfortunately, you can't see the gun. There's a good picture of the front of the gun on Twitter that I tweeted out yesterday. But there's the F-15.
I believe that was the first F-15, right, Eon?
The first, what did we say about the F-15,
I
Ian?
did a little bit more research on it. It's on the first run. I think that was the
Okay.
fifth one.
It's one of the first F-15s, the first
That is
production F-15s that they made?
F-15A
Right?
The production number is 0089.
0089 is a
And
production
that one
number on that
flew for,
one.
I want to say 36 years for the Air National Guard.
36 years. That other one there was a P2, right? Did we say that the other prop plane defined? Did we say that was a P2?
Or was that
The one over there?
Yeah, the prop plane back there.
No, that was the one out
Oh, the
front.
one up front. They had the
I
weird.
still needed to identify that
Yeah,
one.
chat, we didn't identify that other plane, but I've got some with the bubble cockpit there. And then the A-10, of course, behind it with the brap. And then everybody's got an A4 because it's a fantastic plane. First model I ever made. And then there's a playground blocking the last sort of plane there. What was that last plane?
I don't know.
An F1 of something, probably.
The F4 did have two stars on it for kills.
It had
too.
2 stars on it?
Yeah,
I think they were both Air National Guard, right?
Well,
Think
and that's the name.
Oregon
The
Air
name
National
that's
Guard.
on
The
the F4
F4
out there.
back there?
Oops, sorry guys.
The name that's on the F4 is the pilot.
Right,
Was the pilot that also flew the F-15
right.
and dedicated the F-15 to the museum when it was donated.
No kidding. There's also a box of planes. Like, I don't know. Just a box of planes. Sorry?
Who built it?
Who built the F4?
Who? This one or
Yeah.
Wait.
What company? It's an F4.
would it?
From,
Phantom McDonald? Wouldn't it Douglas? McDonnell Douglas?
is it,
I think so. Chat, correct me on that one. I'm pretty sure. I feel like every time. this is
What is,
when you don't know. No, I got it right here. Look.
okay, sorry.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to never miss a good chance to shut up. All right, so coming back around this way. You
Please
good?
be careful
Yep.
where you step when you get over there.
Some more stuff.
okay. So,
You're lining them all out. Oh my gosh.
There's a sheet music.
so here's
Music?
Yes, we can. Evergreen International Aviation. Like I don't know if that's their like
music.
theme.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, is it the Evergreen song?
Yeah.
Yes, we
The Evergreen
can.
had a song.
Oh.
The Evergreen Aviation song.
Yeah, the Evergreen Aviation had a song.
No.
So,
Oh, hey, look, the best plane ever.
I don't think I have the spacing quite right, but that's okay. We can check.
No.
Yeah, thanks.
Spruce Goose.
Chatterbait,
so
thanks for
here's
getting the
the
picture there.
history of our F4C is the S637647. Is that what we're?
Here we go. Yeah, all the way in the back there.
Here you go.
Here we go. The history of the F4C with the serial number 637647. Manufactured by McDonnell Aircraft, St. Louis, Missouri. Gained by the Air Force on the 12th November 1963. It was transferred to the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing. It was transferred to the 68th Tactical Fighter Wing, 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, 497th. It's got the entire history of the thing. And it goes all the way down here. Yeah, we're at Station 76, 154th Tactical Fighter.
154!
Yeah, 154, exactly. At Hickman Air Force Base. There you go. And then the 142 to Portland, Oregon. Then dropped from inventory by transfer to museum status in 1989. So, what's the deal with the F4 in the back parking lot? If only we were in the museum archives and could find it out.
We would find,
And that's why you asked me the name, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then there are some pictures of them. How do you move an F4?
How do you move
if
the
you get-
F4?
here, I'll
Look,
take the
yeah,
other one from
thank
If
you.
you get an F4, what'd you do with it?
Put this down. So how do you move an F4? You use a semi-truck, apparently. They're pulling it out with a semi-truck. F4 aircraft filed. It's DSC0011.jpg.
That's a nice truck.
That is a cool truck. Is the light good on that?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, cool. Then when we flip over to the next page, sort of setting it up, I'm gonna do it like this right here.
Jan, we're not gonna be able to leave in an hour because you're gonna still be organized.
Oh, you pick it up. Look, you just pick it up and you put it on the back of a truck. Look,
Yeah, you do.
with a crane. How do you load it on? Like that. It's not a big deal. Just load it up with a crane, and then you keep going, and they're like securing landing legs and stuff, or the landing legs, landing gear. God, y'all.
So you said that it had
Well,
two.
just like tacking it down.
You said that
It had 2 stars on it. Yes.
You want to know what?
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Okay, we'll tell you.
You found it. I was
Aerial
looking for that.
victories.
I was
Look at it, it's like
looking for that.
handwritten.
Yeah, here's the
The F4
list of
Phantom-
big kills, and then the highlighted ones are
The
our
highlighted
plane
ones are that plane back
Yes.
there.
that had 2 MiG kills.
20. So January 6th of 67, in the 5th of June of 67, it shot down a MiG-21, and it shot down a MiG-17. The pilot, look, he even got promoted from Captain Pasco to Major Pasco, apparently. Who the backseater was, Wells.
Yep.
It's got the serial number, the call sign. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
The weapon even. Shot down a MiG-21 on 6th of January 67 using an AIM-7. And on 5th of June, 67, shot down a MiG-17 with an AIM-9, and that's why there's 2 stars on the aircraft back there.
And that's all tracked. There's a whole to become an ace and all of that. It's all tracked a certain way, and so you have
That's
all
the
that
other document
documentation.
was like the entire squadron or something like
all
that,
of the
right?
kills. Yeah.
A little more. It's
didn't go
tough.
to
Here,
the-
I'll make it work.
Thank
I'll
you.
make it work.
Listed.
Let's not move my
That'll
phone.
work.
What is that? Apollo
14?
14. Yeah. Moon trees.
So there were seeds taken from a tree grafted here in Salem, Oregon, that orbited the moon, and the trees were grown from those seeds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are.
Oh yeah, of course. Like
That tree is down by. Isn't it by? Chat. Work with me.
Which one?
OSU, I believe.
Probably.
There's a
If it's-
tree that
Sorry,
at
guys.
OSU that
Reflection's
yeah
bad there.
with the seeds that.
All the
Sometimes-
patches are in order now. If you wanted to pan it.
Yeah, if you want to pan the patches. All right.
All right.
So stand by. We're gonna watch where we're stepping, but stand by for the. Does it start on this side? 1 of 13. All right. Stand by for the EJSA Extravaganza Space Shuttle History Patch Collection,
Yes.
presented on the floor here at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum.
Cue the elevator music.
Back in the archives, yeah. Doot, 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 doot. It needs more epic music than
It
elevator
does.
music. Like,
Yeah,
It
that's
does.
true. That's true.
Again, we need a theme. There needs to be music. We need to make a soundtrack.
we do need like a soundtrack.
Yeah. There needs to be a soundtrack. We could sing the Evergreen songs in our
Somebody
soundtrack.
said killing something with a sparrow is impressive. No wonder the crew got promoted.
Right, absolutely. Thank you. Not everybody can do that.
Oh, the sparrow apparently rarely hit anything.
Why the Sideliner was designed, developed. This may take me a minute.
You're doing everyone.
Everyone?
Wow. Are you getting your camera and the reflection of it though?
Nope, not this close.
Okay, good. Good.
They are pretty cool patches, aren't they? And again, these aren't out displayed on the wall of the museum. Like, you'd have to have this much space on a wall and put them in some sort of place where people could walk past them or something, right? So if you're wondering, these were stacked up on a desk back there, and Eon Raptor laid them out so that he's actually going and photographing them, it looks like. But so that we could sort of pan past them and see them. And it's not even just the mission patches. It's got other patches like the people that would escort the shuttle. I think there was like a transporter patch somewhere. There was a teacher in space patch over there. The shuttle chase team. Yeah, there it is. The shuttle chase team patch. It's just like every patch relevant. I'm not going to say every patch, but it's tons of patches relative to the space shuttle program. I mean, just you have to have space. You have to have space at the museum to display this sort of thing and find a place to put it. You don't just like go out with a guy with a hammer and like nail it to the wall somewhere, right? So there's all sorts of stuff like this back in the archives that we're sort of like looking through and discovering.
That is a lot of patches.
It's a lot of patches.
That is a lot of patches.
It's what? It's 12 per times 13, so it's 144 plus 12, 146, 156 patches. If I did the math correctly. God. Where to next?
We're almost out of time.
Yeah.
What?
You're pointing somewhere.
Did
Where do you
anybody
want to
figure
go?
out how to turn the light on? in
No,
there?
we
No,
didn't.
we do have this light though.
Okay.
Yeah, we
let's
do. We
do
have the big light. Yeah.
So we've seen
We've
documents.
seen, I mean, we
we've
went down
seen-
one aisle, and there's other aisles that we didn't even go down over there.
So
We looked,
we've seen the documents. We've seen some really cool stuff. But this is the fun area.
this is the fun area. This is the cosplay corner.
This is, there it is. What would you like to do? You can have one of these.
I mean, we were trying to find a tag.
Yeah, it's a giant.
What is it? It's a giant flameproof suit or something.
And
It's definitely a flameproof suit. It's got the gloves up on top.
right.
But I don't
Do
know
they
if
have
it's.
any.
Is it for handling something?
This is for cooking, I believe.
It's for
I mean,
cooking.
I don't cook, so
It's
I wouldn't
like,
know
do you
for
get
sure.
burned sometimes?
Right, exactly. Was anyone going to barbecue later? We could help.
This isn't like made of asbestos, is it?
I hope not.
I hope not too. Let's put it back.
This is probably the wrong time to ask that question. I'm just
Yeah.
Let's see. So again, we have these collections
Right.
of things. General McPeak he flew during Vietnam.
Right.
He flew Misty missions during Vietnam, but he was then Chief of Staff of the Air Force.
Right.
And he is from Oregon.
Okay.
So he has given us his collection of items, one of them being his uniform. That we actually, our curator has taken out in the last few months, and it's on display now in the other
Right.
building. But it's the only one in existence.
No
Because it's his particular
It's his uniform.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just a
And-
uniform.
Right. So we have that. And he's given us other things because when you've been chief of staff, apparently you get all kinds of cool
You
stuff.
have all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
like coming around this way.
Right, exactly. Not this, because if you're chief of
Oh.
staff, you probably don't get
You
one
probably
of
don't
these.
get
but,
one of those.
This is a Garda that says, I'm the boss from United Airlines.
I'm the boss from United Airlines?
Sometimes you don't ask too many questions. You just set
Okay.
it back down and you move on to something else. So that's what we're going to do right there.
What? Are those Oakley shoes?
They're in fact Oakley shoes. I don't. So there's that.
There's also, yeah, so there's that. Moving right along. There's crew cases from Evergreen Aviation down there.
And then you get into the uniforms. So
Pilot's navigation kit, inventory inside.
one of the things they're working on right now is a display about, you saw the Hughes Air West
Right.
uniforms the other day.
Right, right.
So they're working on putting together a display of other uniforms.
Okay.
So that's why all these are hanging up here, because
Yeah.
these are all, I always feel bad for flight attendants. I mean,
Wow. What year is that from?
I don't know. Hold on, let me see if I can see who. Limited vest. Well, I don't know what year it's from. But look, it's a bodysuit, no less.
Yeah, it is a bodysuit.
And
What
who?
does this one say?
Who,
Oh my
who wears
gosh.
this?
United
And-
blouse.
Oh yeah, United. So United made their flight attendants wear this.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yep. And so we get all of these, and we get to figure out what to do with them and where
Yeah.
they should go. And the flight attendants, I mean, it wasn't just you had your uniform, you had your jacket
Yeah, the
that
jacket,
matched
the
it, you had
overcoat and stuff,
there were
and it's all, you
hats.
see him walking through the airport. And
Mhm. There was
Yeah.
a whole thing. Here's somebody's racing suit.
The
I wonder if this
racing
goes with the
suit.
shoes.
I wonder if it goes with the helmet too.
It might.
Because they also have the red theme. There was a helmet here that I walked past, Chad, like a racing helmet of some sort. So I have no clue what that's. Let me see here. Read through it.
Is it this?
Oh wow! There you go.
Is this the same? I wonder
Wayne
if that's the
Hanley.
same
It
Wayne
is sort of
Hanley.
red. This is check, and it just says photo. Like somebody was supposed to take a photo of it, and it's got a tag number on it.
And then there it is.
Somebody's
Yep.
bound to know. Oh, it's got room for a headset as well. It looks like so.
Yeah, and the
Huh.
Hanley Raven, I believe, is one of these. It was in the home built section.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Raven
Yep.
sort of
Yep.
emblazoned on the top there. All right. It's
So I
almost
don't-
like you work here or something.
I know. I don't know how we got from. Oh, so here's another flight attendant uniform. This was the subdued days.
Okay.
Delta,
A little bit more toned down.
The Delta
than,
collection, yes. Then the yellow
yeah,
cape that we saw.
the
Right.
Fallout cape from yesterday.
And so again, somebody has to go through and
Organize all
organize
stuff.
all these. And again, you're preserving material, so
Yeah.
you're worried about the textiles and how they're going to
Yep.
survive whatever you're
Survive time,
doing.
yeah.
But they, oh yeah, I hate it when they don't tell me what it actually.
There's a bunch of stars on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's somebody's military
There's a bunch
uniform.
of stars
Here's
on
a
that shoulder.
flight jacket that. If that's missing, it was me, not Eon. I promise.
It's a pretty sweet jacket.
That is pretty sweet, isn't it? So, Night Owl missions in North Vietnam. So this is his flight suit.
It's just rows and rows and rows of this stuff, y'all. Oh, look at that! What is that from? It's a NASA jacket. That's the sweetest NASA jacket ever.
That's not bad at all.
It's got a
Space Lab.
Space Lab 3, which was in a shuttle mission that had.
Oh. Yep. Dunbar. Bonnie
Yeah.
Dunbar was the CEO of the Museum of Flight for a number of years.
Okay, there you go.
Yep. Yes, she was. Yeah. So more military, a lot.
There's another. Yeah, like
Dusty. I don't.
I mean, I don't even know what all the
Right,
different patches and stuff like
Right.
that. It's like an entire exhibit of like patch
It
art.
is. Yeah. Well, and look at.
Yeah, there's like
I mean,
more
there's-
dress uniform.
Right. And then here's another Expert Air Defense Command. Patrick O'Grady, Brigadier General, U.S. Air Force.
Okay.
So,
Just an orange suit.
right, it's fine. It's
More
just,
jackets, more Air Force jackets.
yeah. Yeah. So just fascinating things. And some of these, we just created an exhibit of flight helmets.
Right.
Over the years.
Right.
So at some point we'll put out an exhibit of the flight
Of
attendant
all
clothing.
the flight attendant
The
clothing.
military
You sort of-
uniforms, there's just so many of them.
You can
And-
rotate it in and out too, right?
Right.
Like you'll have space for the flight attendant uniforms,
Absolutely,
and you'll
and that
rotate it
will
into the
move.
military helmets.
Yep, and something else
I
will
mean,
go
just
in.
even this entire row of stuff. How would you ever display all that?
Right.
Like you can't
Right.
just display
Because-
every single
well,
thing.
and
You have to
again,
pick and choose.
And you have to tell the story of it.
Yeah.
So it's not just getting the display
just
out
throw
there,
it
it's
out
finding
there,
the
yeah.
signage, space, and everything else.
Yeah.
And then we have some shoes.
Some shoes. There's a couple shoes.
Who doesn't
Mike
love
rated
shoes?
progress.
What?
Mike's rating.
Oh, nice. The bombardment, nice. Oh, that is an orange SR-71. Oh, that one looked like a bomber. The patches were bomber patches on it. It looked like. I mean, if these sorts of things, like this is like straight Top Gun sort of deal. God.
Yeah.
Was that H-53 on the helmet? It's literally taped over on the visor. It looks like. God. I mean, I'm not an expert in all this
Exactly.
stuff. I'm just walking around like, oh my gosh, there's more stuff and there's more stuff. A bunch of bags, like equipment bags and stuff like that. Just
Yep.
more stuff.
Well, and over here we have the oxygen masks, ties.
We have some oxygen masks. Oh, here's this. Here's this thing. Remember when we were at the smoke jumper exhibit outside?
Right.
And
Why
I
do we
joked.
have-
I was like, why is there an axe in the back? Apparently the axe that's down here is relevant to the smoke jumping
We hope that's what it's for.
exhibit. Yeah, I'm not
Remember
sure.
to say-
It's got like a safety cover on it. SRFPD is what it says. SRFPD. So I don't know exactly what that would stand for even. But just walking around, we saw this, and then we're walking around the museum, and we're like, oh, it was a smoke jumper axe, or whatever, right? If it was a smoke jumper axe. I don't know that they jumped out of the airplane with axes, did they? I guess they had to take some sort of equipment, but
They dropped the
they would drop the
They would
equipment
drop
and they
the
would go,
equipment.
there you go. It's not like you like strap this to your chest and jump out of the airplane.
Luckily, no. But, so here are
There we go.
flying helmets.
More flying helmets
More
coming
fun,
down
not
this
the
way.
ones leather pilot
Oh,
helmets.
wow.
Not the ones that we have on exhibit over there. 'Cause There's
Yeah.
a bunch of them over there. But yeah, so you get
The full-on like leather, the old
Right.
skull cap sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. And so there's just
It's just open a drawer and open a door and there's...
yep, and you find all kinds of.
Wow.
I don't know if you wore that, but that seems like it wouldn't really do you all that much good, does it?
Well, brown cloth helmet.
Mm.
Maybe put something over it or something. Huh?
I hope so. God, makes my head cold to think about.
It's just again like imagine walking through here and sitting and talking about the history of flight helmets. Like how long could you sit and talk about it? You're like, oh, that wouldn't talk very long. But then there's these, and there's these, and there's the different like insignia on them.
Yeah.
And
Well, and how do you get to be the person that's the expert on flight
on
helmets?
flight helmets, I know.
I mean, you're looking at them from the last 100 years. So,
Yeah.
So here's the one they wore in 1918 when they started flying airmail. And how do you remember
How do you
all
even
of
become?
that?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it. I'm wondering if
Are we locked out?
I might be.
No.
Give me something to
Oh no, we're good.
Oh,
All right, we're in.
Oh, no, we
Oh,
got
it's
it.
hats.
Oh!
Look at
Oh,
this.
look at that. Okay.
There's the Voyager. There's a Voyager hat up there.
Mm-hmm.
See the very top, the baseball hat.
And-
And there's a Spruce Goose hat, clearly from the 80s.
Think that.
I didn't realize there was a vomit comet patch over here.
Is there really?
Is there? Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? Yeah. So some military hats. This.
Oh, that Boeing hat over there. Look at that.
I'm guessing that this is it Boeing or is it?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
signed by
Boeing.
somebody.
Sure. Sure it is. Uh-huh. Somebody want to get
Who's
that
it
and
signed
figure out
by?
who?
Yeah,
Right.
somebody
It's
figure
a
out who signed that for
mystery.
us. Harvey?
I was going to say
Pat
and
Harvey
Harry,
or
Pat
something?
Harvey.
Pat and Harry from Boeing.
Pat and
So
Harry.
figure out who Pat and Harry from Boeing were so we can...
And I'd like to just throw in my plug because it's
Yeah.
not that I'm prejudiced about certain airplanes. But this was after Douglas because Douglas did the flight around the
Ah.
world. Why was Douglas's logo the flight around the world? You ask. Okay, don't twist my
I
arm,
did
I'll tell
ask,
you.
yeah, okay. Why was it? If only someone knew the answer to that question.
Right. Well, it turns out they flew. Douglas made 5 Douglas World Cruisers.
Okay.
And they flew from California up to Washington State,
Right.
Sandpoint Naval Air Station,
Okay.
which is now a dog park.
What was all this?
It's
now a dog park.
It's now a dog park. Like, you can take your dog and go to Sandpoint Naval Air Station, which, by the way, is the actual takeoff point for the first flight around the world.
Okay.
So Douglas, the Douglas World Cruiser, they start out with 5 of them. One of them is in the Smithsonian.
Right.
2 of them, I believe, made the entire trip. Chat. How long did it take the
How
Douglas
long did
World
it
Cruiser
take?
to make that trip? Because it's amazing. It's an open cockpit biplane.
Wow.
There's a gentleman in Renton, Washington, that has built a scale, to scale. It's it's just like the real one, and he is going to, and I believe he's starting this month. He's going to go fly around the world.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He has already flown around the world with his wife in a J3 Cub, which you'll remember is the little yellow airplane.
These aren't the biggest planes in the world.
Cloth airplane, 65 horsepower, and you're going to go fly around the world in it. There you go.
What?
But yes, so the Douglas World Cruiser, so that's why Douglas'
That's why it's added to the logo,
was
so you can look
around
at it.
the world.
And then that helps you time it. The hat has to be from after this time period
Right,
because
absolutely,
it has
because the logo has changed.
Yeah.
So Douglas, of course, eventually became McDonnell Douglas, which then eventually became part of Boeing.
Right.
As did Boeing has sort of owns everything. I mean, it's fascinating to go on Boeing's website because their history, because they own North American, they own part of Hughes now. So it's all of these companies' history is sort of rolled into one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Douglas' first trip around the world. In airplanes that, I mean, you just look at them and you're like, really?
It's like, really?
You're going to fly?
It's like riding a bicycle around the world.
That would have to be so comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
yeah, and
kidding.
I really can't remember how long it took them to do, but it was a long, long trip. Go ahead.
So we're getting really, really short on time, like down to the minutes.
Don't say short, it's not polite. It hurts people's
The
feelings.
oxygen mask tour.
Only for short people though.
We have what? We have 30 minutes?
We have 30 minutes when we have to be rolling out.
So we probably have 20 minutes before we have to start packing up.
To go to the other building.
Yeah. The other building.
Good shot.
Oh. I have to come back. I don't have any more room to carry stuff, honestly.
All right.
Tell me what you need and we'll mail it to you. We can do that. We have the technology.
Well, thank you. We have the technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like digging through.
So, again, poor flight attendants.
Oh, wow.
Light blue hat United. I mean, they told you what purse you carried.
What purse to carry as part of the uniform. It's like your uniform purse.
Absolutely. So flight attendants until the 80s, if you've ever seen the television show Pan Am, it was a terrible show. I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. It was a bad show.
Okay.
But it was so pretty.
Right.
Because they recreated all of the uniforms and everything.
Yeah.
And they show scenes of the flight attendants, literally until I believe the late 80s, had to get weighed before they could get on the plane.
Really?
Yes.
Had to get weighed before they could get on the plane.
Like if you put on too much weight. Now, early flight attendants, they were like the elevator operators.
Right.
Back, way back when. You had to be a certain height, a certain weight.
Right. I remember
and
that.
it was very, very strict. But yes, they had weight requirements. So you literally had to get on a scale. Now, the rationale was, and you'll love this.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to overload the plane. Right. We weren't weighing the pilots, of course.
Right.
But the flight
We weren't weighing the
attendants.
pilots. Oh, gosh.
But yes. So they had to, I mean, there were so many standards on what they could do. Early on, you couldn't be married if you were a flight attendant.
Really?
Once you got married, you could no longer fly.
You couldn't be a flight attendant if you were married?
You could not be married if you were a flight attendant.
Okay.
Because at that time, your job as a woman was to be at home raising your family and being a good wife, not...
So they wouldn't hire you anymore?
No, you would get fired if you got married.
You would get fired if you got married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you imagine that these days?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
right? Yeah, okay.
Here, I want you to, by the way, are you married? No, you can't be married. And you need to hop on that scale
and hop on the
there.
scale before you how tall are you, by the way?
Right, I'm afraid you're too tall for that.
It's just a little bit of a, a little bit of a thing.
Right.
We just got to check right quick. What is this? Oh my gosh.
Can you see?
This way a little bit. This way you got a lamp in front of you. Or no, you have a torso in front of you, actually. And now we have Bob. Greg, whatever this guy's name is.
Bob's here to tell us that we're just about out of time, but he's so happy you joined us today.
Look at the smile on his face. Just spending all his days back here in the museum collection.
Bob might need to shave a little better, though.
Or
just thinking he's got a little...
repaint his nose. I think there's like a product I see on the commercials that'll help with that blemishes on the face.
I think so, too. These are empty. That's
that's amazing. There's actually space for stuff.
I know, right? Exactly. But yes, so more flight attendant things. What's this?
Or there's a user guide for the modular tactical vest. What? Just like sitting on the shelf here. I saw the thing.
And I wonder if this perhaps is the modular.
Maybe it is. Maybe it has something to do with it. It's the talking head, yeah.
It's the talking head.
Okay. So just, again, to do like one more sort of look through the back of it here, everything from like a flame-proof suit. Did anybody figure out what this thing was? flame-proof suit of some sort, all the different types of jackets and uniforms and vests and flight attendant outfits, and this is like a traveling coat designed for American Airlines by London Fog.
Yeah.
My mom had a London Fog,
Yeah,
like an
absolutely.
overcoat like this, when we were growing up, and it was not designed for American Airlines, it was just a London Fog one, but this one was designed for American Airlines, just sort of hanging on the thing. So the whole sort of thing we talked about on the other end, the schematics and all the Hughes Aircraft Corporation, did I say that right? Hughes Aircraft? Oh, Hughes, okay.
Just fine. Yeah,
I've
Hughes
never
Aircraft.
said it, but I like have heard it enough.
Yeah.
It's just sort of what
Yeah.
came out, so I want to make sure it was right.
Hughes Aircraft is fine.
Hughes Aircraft, like all the schematics and stuff for the spruce goose and other projects like the steam car or whatever.
Right.
And then we sort of walked through some of the aisles that have miscellaneous things, like everything from sample cigarettes that they would hand out to trainer bombs that were in there. And we came back over here to all the uniforms and everything. And we were looking in the drawers and we saw the space shuttle patches and just all the things that are back in the archive. It's amazing how much stuff there is at the museum that you don't see when you go to the museum. So let's keep going back this way. We're going to sort of, is there anything else that...
Well, I heard you talking about this at the very beginning.
Yeah?
This beautiful,
Oh, yeah, that. I didn't want to open it.
kind of fascinating.
Is there a spot for it? Yes, and these artifacts, which are Kerbal Space Academy
Kerbal
patches.
Space-
yeah.
I was going to say, I don't recognize those.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a whole box.
There's
Oh, that's
just,
from Van's aircraft, so some of that. And then there's
just, you know, pictures of the F4 on here. You pull it down a little bit. Pictures of an F4. That's a museum, it looks like, because look, it's got a plaque and stuff on it. I don't know exactly where that is. Doesn't have it labeled on the back.
So,
Huh.
I don't know who made this, but this entire book is every article
wow.
that mentions
You want to talk about scrapbooking?
right on steroids. Yes.
It's got little tags where they have the date, 1945.
Where it came from.
This is a picture. This is the small part of the fuselage. Nice.
Yeah.
So we were in there.
Yeah. So,
New Sky Monster.
so it literally, somebody has taken every article.
It's from different places too. It's the Fort Lauderdale. It must have been from Florida because
Right.
Fort Lauderdale Democrat.
Right.
There's
It's
a
from
Tallahassee,
Albany, New York.
Albany, it's all from all over.
Chicago, Manitou, Wisconsin.
Hughes to build a Long Beach dock, just like every single little mention.
Every single.
How do you do this?
Yeah. I don't.
Look, here you go. We've got the International Space Station we always show on the football field, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
as big. The Hughes, the Hercules wings would span a football field.
Yeah. So, I mean,
That's what
it's-
this thing is.
Yes. All the articles from everywhere. And again, I'm not entirely positive who collected all of these.
So many
but
pictures.
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. Oh, look. Here we ran out of space, so we just had to.
We just started stacking them up.
Right. So we recorded every one that was there, but
I wonder if it's like
apparently-
the same picture that was used in multiple locations
Yeah,
or
and
something.
so they just
They're like, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
It was too much for you. Uh-huh.
It's the
Yep.
laughing that gets me
Well,
sometimes.
and here's the Yakima Washington Herald.
Yep.
Back when we abbreviated Washington as WN, not WA.
Really?
Yeah, because it was 1940 something or another. Yes.
I didn't even know that was a
It
thing.
was WN.
It
for
was
a very long
WN
time.
instead
It
of
was WN,
WA
not
for
WA. Yep.
Washington State abbreviation.
Yeah, so there's your space. Oh, look at here.
Oh,
we
here
go.
we have some. Look at this. From Time.
Yeah, I mean, so just popular science, looking inside.
Yep. We did that. We looked
Yes,
inside.
we did. We certainly did. This has it with accommodation. Remember, we talked about how many passengers.
Yeah, how many
they've got 'em
passengers?
stacked back
yeah.
there.
2 levels of passengers.
Two
in the
levels.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding.
Yeah. So all of look.
God. This is
Hughes. Wow. And then here we are again down in the building that now is Google. But yeah, just absolutely amazing. So
that's.
yeah, and it goes
Did it?
on and on. And then here's about the glue they used.
Wow.
These were ads that this one was.
Fortune 1945 modern plastics. Yeah. Wow. It's printed in USA. It even says.
I have absolutely no idea what that's got to do with.
It's like a
something
pontoon or something.
So the dinghy that you saw out front of the
Oh,
Spruce Goose,
right,
that's
right.
what this is, and
The
these
dinghy.
are the ads for that. Well, apparently these girls aren't
Yes.
very good at dinghy operation because, yeah.
Somebody got a news photo and just used it in all the places.
In
They didn't
all
cover
of
that
them.
one up. It looks
Nope.
like.
Nope. And then let's see.
Oh, it goes to more stuff.
I apparently we can't talk about what happened here.
There's more stuff.
So yeah.
Redacted.
Yes, exactly.
This is-
So again, the TWA constellation was one that
Right.
Howard was really key in getting them to buy. Unfortunately, it was post World War II, and
Right.
now all of a sudden the technology was completely outdated.
Right.
So beautiful plane, but this is
It's no
your
alchemist
product.
dreams.
And
Nice. Duramold,
Duramold.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Even the like advertisements and stuff like that. World's biggest aileron undergoes test at Hughes.
yeah. So we talked about they had the oil bit that was out there.
Right.
That's what this article is about. $85 gadget keeps Howard Hughes in plenty of chips. And the Hughes Tool Company makes oversized dentist drills for oil
Oversized dentist
wells.
drills for oil
And
wells.
is one of the richest, yes. He inherited the company in 1925 when he was 19 upon the death of his father.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Since
his
then, he's
father
been-
designed the drill bit that we had down next to the first cruise, and they didn't sell it to people. They licensed or they rented it.
Right. It was
They would
basically-
rent out the drill
right.
bits,
You couldn't
and that's
own
where they
it.
got all
He
the
held
money
patent.
to
Yes.
make all the cool.
stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
so
end up
then-
turning the money from an oil well drill bit into like the racer and the spruce goose and God.
Well, and then of course Howard Hughes did a round the world flight just because he could.
Just because he could.
and so
Misses the
these
mark
are,
by
these are about
69
the fact
seconds.
that he
What?
didn't beat the record.
Oh, by
So-
69 seconds.
So they have saved all of the
Just misses. Look, it's all just misses record. Just misses record.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what all of these are about, and then this looks like the last page.
Talk about your scrapbooking.
Right.
That is a massive. I mean, it's like a
And the
2.5
amazing
way.
thing is, and it's only, it only covers a year, 2 years,
Wow.
all of these articles. So every article they printed. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's what was in that book, which you talked about at the very beginning.
The Howard Hughes scrapbook. Look, I love the front. Is just like, it's not like crazy. They didn't do like a big design or anything.
no.
It's just Howard Hughes
Howard
scrapbook.
Hughes scrapbook.
Right.
And it's
like-
very heavy. by the
It
way.
looks really heavy.
It is heavy. It is heavy.
And we started just like back to where we sort of started the experiment that was flown on a sounding rocket over there. Was it the? Oh, now I'm going to read it again so I can say it. The glass finding experiment. Yeah, that flew on a sounding rocket right next to the scrapbook that has all the newspaper articles from. I don't even know what to tell you. Did we miss anything amazing in here? I mean,
Yeah, lots of stuff.
did we miss anything amazing in here? This is interesting, chat. Come and check out what this is a model of.
What's that?
It's only a model, that's what it's going to say. It's an Ares 1 crew launch vehicle. Not a thing anymore. Not going to happen. This is... Oh, that's the Ares 1 on that side, and the Ares 5 cargo launch vehicle. Look at the crew launch vehicle that's just literally strapped on an SRB. That one got canceled.
Yep, we're not doing that.
We're just walking around checking out stuff. I don't even know what this thing is.
I have no idea.
The label's missing, and it has a solar panel, it looks like. I don't have any clue what that thing is. It's got an engine on the bottom, but it's all machined.
We could tell you, but.
Yeah, we could tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this probably isn't good anymore.
Right, I would think not. I mean, I don't.
It feels like it's sealed and it has liquid in it.
Would not be at all surprising. I'm just gonna say, yes.
Is there anything else amazing that we... Oh! There's the A10 for
Right.
you. Since it was
Right.
the weather outside was not fantastic, there's the A10 right there.
There's the Jado bottle that chat's always bugging you about.
The Jado bottles. I mean, we're doing like the very end of the sort of thing here. You could again spend an... Oh no, we have to go do that. We have to do this right quick.
Yes, we do.
Yes, tell us about the
So-
Green Barn and environs.
So when the collection came to us, some of it didn't have a place inside yet, and
Right.
so we have some outer buildings that some things were placed in, and so our collections has given us a how not to preserve artifacts, and this would be it. Unfortunately, there were some nice mice or squirrels
Something
that were
was eating
kind of
it,
hungry.
yeah.
They had a few of those, and then these are the models they used to use to teach pilots how, or
Yeah, how to
teach
spot.
recognition.
Yeah, like
right,
spotter
the spotter
silhouettes and
models.
stuff,
So
yeah.
that's what this is, and it's a reminder that if we're not very, very careful,
Stuff ends up like
this
this.
is what happens to pictures, and this is what happens to models, and
Yeah,
yes.
see if you can get like up close and look down on it that way, because this is just... I love it. It's the how not to preserve an
Yes.
Artimac.
Yes.
Was that a stained wooden A10? Yes.
Yes.
It was the A10
It
walnut.
was. It was.
The A10 walnut is what that was. Oh, no kidding. Just all this was melted out of a record, right?
Well,
Or not
these,
this
I don't
one?
believe these ones.
Okay.
I know that
Some of them were.
Right, some of them
All
were
right.
at the
Gotcha.
We talked about rations.
Right.
And that's another thing that next time you come out, well, look, we have a whole set of ration coupons back there, and the cookbooks that they
Right.
sent to women in the
And how to make
United
meals
States,
out of
what you were rationed. But because they didn't have enough materials, they melted records.
They melted down
to
records.
make the models out of.
So you were saying on some of them you can still see the
Yeah, you can
grooves
still-
on the spotting.
You can still see yes, if you go to the Museum of Flight and talk really nice, you can still see the grooves in their models that they've got in the collection.
I don't even know what's in that box down there.
either.
It's like it's some sort of wooden
Something.
or pictures or moving along.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what
All
that
right,
is.
keep
That
going.
scares me a little.
Where was the Rato bottle? All right.
See?
Literally just peanuts. Airline peanuts. Also in the archives. Piece of a meteorite and airline peanuts. I don't even know. Where are we going to find?
Jado bottles.
Ah. I don't know what to tell y'all. All right, over here in the corner. Yeah, here we go. So that's the Rado.
There's your Jado bottle, chat.
Jado bottle. Yeah, it actually says
Or
on the
Rado.
side.
Yep.
Jado, Rado. Yeah. There's like a big argument about
It's
that.
interchangeable.
Jado versus
It's
Rado. It's rocket assisted takeoff, but why is there a J? Like,
It's interchangeable.
yeah, everybody always corrects me. Well, actually, that's not a jet engine. Like, come on. This is an actual Rado. So this is one of the assisted takeoff things that they would use to, I guess, most of the time actually take off as opposed to land. They did it for landing at some point, didn't they do that?
It was mostly used for takeoff.
I thought they had.
They
I thought
tried
they
that.
had some sort of experiment where they had it pointed backwards to land in a shorter distance.
Yeah,
too.
they tried that with a C-130.
Yes.
Did they
that
try it
was-
with a C-130? Because I saw a video.
That was for a rescue mission.
Right?
They didn't use that plan.
They didn't actually use that,
No.
but they
Yeah.
tested it.
The
So-
C-130 kind of caught on fire, if I recall correctly.
Never good.
Yeah.
Not a good plan. And I don't even know what this is next to it, but another thing of some sort.
So there's a tag on the back of that one if you want to read that.
Where's it at? Letter bomb.
I think it's for mail delivery.
It says that it's a letter bomb. Does anybody in chat know what a letter bomb would be?
Yeah,
It's a
so-
leaflet bomb. No, it says leaflet bomb.
Leaflet bomb. Oh.
Propaganda,
Parachute.
yeah.
Yeah, it says flares, aircraft, parachute, flare case, modified for. So it's a flare case that's been modified to hold leaflets instead of flares, and it's labeled letter bomb.
Do you have a year on the tag?
The tag just literally only says letter bomb.
Okay.
In this stamping, it has a lot number AN M20 parachute PA 11-42. That might have something to do with it.
So I've heard about this.
God,
Gene says letter bombs were used for propaganda in Vietnam.
it's an AN
Yeah, I knew they were used in Vietnam, but
N26. Yeah,
Yeah, so the B-52s would carpet bomb.
Right.
The last ordnance they would drop with this.
Right.
And it'd be full of little pieces of paper that just said the letter F.
it just said the letter F.
You know I'm kidding, right?
Come on, man, we're being serious about this.
well, I believe they actually dropped them to warn them, like
Yeah.
the linebacker before it happened, to let people know
Right,
what was going
right,
on.
right, right.
So,
And then right behind the letter bomb, we have the Barbie
friendship.
airplane. Yeah.
I got one from Santa in 1974. There was a coup. Barbie became the pilot because
Yeah.
she was obviously supposed to be the flight attendant. But yes, it's a Barbie airplane.
It is. Books, Christmas checklist, the whole thing, inventory
Yeah.
and file. Just right behind the letter bomb. That's right next to the Rato bottle, like the whole. Oh wow!
Chat, I
Well-
love you. You never disappoint.
This is just crazy. What do they say? Did they press F?
Yep.
Yes, they pressed F to pay respects. So I think we're sort of coming down to the end of our time here in the collection. Again, we didn't like have a script or anything like that. We just sort of walked in here. We checked the signal the other day, but it's not like we gathered a bunch of stuff. We had Eon Raptor walking around picking up things for us. Julia was showing us some things. You come around this way, we'll go this way like this. Julia was showing us just cool things that you have
So
found.
much fun. Yeah.
Rumming around.
Yeah.
rummaging
And I will
around back
continue to
here.
rummage around before you
Yeah.
come the next time, and we'll have more stuff to look at.
And it's just
Yeah.
like we were talking about, all the things that are stored back here that aren't out in the museum in various stages of being processed. So things that have just been donated, that's just like sort of bagged and tagged. And we know we have it, but you know, all the things over here that they're talking about digitizing. I mean, if you swing the camera this way, all of the blueprints and technical drawings and stuff like that, all the documents from the Hughes Aircraft Corporation, the whole sort of shoot and match that they have here in the archives that we sort of came and looked at. But it's really, really amazing that we were able to come back and look at this stuff.
It's been fun to have you back here. It's nice to be able to show people what we have, because we're proud of the collection.
Yeah,
we really are.
absolutely. And this is part of the collection.
This is absolutely,
This is part of the collection.
Yes.
And then sort of talking about the future plans when you've just gotten the go-ahead for
The
the scanner.
Yep.
I guess the large scanner so you can start digitizing the things. And then people that are going to sort of be volunteering to scan those things in. The things with the college students that you're doing, like internship sorts of things where you can actually get some training.
Yes.
Maybe you don't know how to scan. You probably know how to scan things. These days, I guess you just take a picture with a phone.
That's what
Yeah, I don't know. Who has a scanner on their desk anymore, right?
We'll have a really big one.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. So maybe you think you know how to scan something if you're old enough, like I guess me. But learning to actually how do you preserve a historical artifact and scan it in so it's digitized and sort of preserved is sort of some training that there may be an
Well, and how do you
opportunity
decide
for.
what's historical?
How do you exactly?
Because
it's just a piece of paper versus
Right.
what do you actually
Absolutely.
need? Because
Absolutely.
it gets to the point where you have so much stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything if you don't know where it is, and if you have too much stuff, it's hard to know where what you
Absolutely.
need is. So
Absolutely.
just all the different things, the way that the museum sort of works on this stuff. Thank you so much again for letting us come back and look at
You're
it.
so welcome. And if you have a museum by you, they're doing the same thing.
They're doing the same
and they
sort
have
of
the
thing.
same needs. So I know we've said if you live in this area, we'd love to have you help us out, but check with your local museum.
Yep.
They all do or historical society
Yep.
because
There's
they all
like
face
usually
the
an
same
email
thing.
address on the museum website.
Yep,
And if you send an
absolutely.
email that says, "Hey, I'm interested in," start your email with "I'm interested in volunteering."
Yes, that's
right.
A
That's how
very
you get
good way
somebody's
to-
attention.
Yeah,
at
you
the
really get our
museum.
attention that way.
I'm
very
interested
nicely.
in volunteering.
Yep.
And just ask. Go to the website. It doesn't have to be this museum, wherever
Right.
it is nearby.
Absolutely.
See if there's something you can do to help out your museum, so that we preserve this sort of stuff for generations to come. Because it's really cool.
It is really cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah. They're great stories.
Chat, you know what to do. Everybody in chat, look, thank you, Julia. Thank you so much for the Weekend of Fun information. Thanks, Julia. Thanks, Evergreen Museum. Thank you, Julia. And thanks, Gary. Nice.
Right, right. Yours is good.
and mine.
Yep, and
Julia
Bruce
is
and
the
mine.
queen.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you. Oh, see, I
Everybody
love
in
that. That
chat.
makes me so happy.
Yeah, chat,
Yeah.
thank you for this.
Yes,
Thank you for
you.
doing this so much.
Yeah, and thank you guys. You were so impressive that my mom even watched. I mean, I'm just saying, my mom doesn't have a lot of interest in some of these things.
Right?
But
It's
yeah,
working, Chad.
She was fascinated. So yeah,
Excellent.
very good.
Good
Uh-huh.
deal. Just everybody saying thank you so much for the access and getting us behind the ropes.
So
And
glad you guys came out. It was so
again,
fun.
one more time, we're able to do this sort of cool stuff because we have Julia with us, and she had the golden ticket, so we could get into areas that you normally wouldn't be able to get into. So don't just walk into your museum and just start manhandling things and that sort of thing. Make sure you have permission. Make sure you respect the artifacts so you can preserve them for future generations. Because if everybody came in there and licked the rocket,
right.
eventually there would be a really clean spot on one side or something. I don't know.
But always
Dirty
make sure you
clean.
ask.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the museum, ask. Because you don't, well, our young
never
man
know.
yesterday,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen.
Well, he gimbaled the engine. He just walks up and he's like, "Oh yeah, do you know how it gimbaled?" And he gimbals the engine.
Right, they'll show you things.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
so the docents and the volunteers that were spending time with
Amazing.
us, it was so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're here volunteering their time, sharing their knowledge and the things that they've either have experience with or they've learned because they've been here.
Yeah.
Every single person we talked to was fantastic.
And because we're in a rural area, we have volunteers that drive an hour and a half to 2 hours
wow.
to do their 8-hour shift. So, I mean, they don't just spend 8 hours a week with us.
Yeah.
They drive a really
They
long
drive,
way.
and that's on
Yeah.
their dime too.
Absolutely.
They're like
Yep,
coming
it
back
all
out here,
is. Yeah,
and
they
just
do
to sort of share that sort of experience with people that come
Yeah.
and visit museums. So, as always, if you can get to the museum, if you can visit a museum, it's so cool to go in and actually physically see the museum because there's so much more than we could ever cover.
Absolutely.
On the show, we'd be here for weeks, and we would be walking around. And the first week would be the blackbird, and then the second week we. there's so much cool stuff, and just when you walk through a museum, just don't just like shuffle through and sort of glance at things. There's so much information, especially if you ask a docent, and you can get some good stories and stuff like that. So
Well, and museums can be really expensive places, but a lot, like in the Seattle area,
Right.
the first Thursday, I believe, of every month, all the museums, including the Museum
That's a
of
great
Flight, have a
point.
5 o'clock to 9 o'clock night where people can get into the museum for free.
Right.
Over the summer, there are a number of museums that we talked about that
Right.
are Blue Star museums.
Right.
And if you're a military,
Military.
if you're the family of an active duty military member,
Right.
whether that person is with you or not, up to 6 family members can get into the museums for free.
Right.
So if you go onto the Blue Star Museum website, there's an interactive map,
Right.
and that runs all summer long for families.
Well, and isn't there a museum network where they'll honor memberships from other museums? Like,
Yes.
I'm a member here at Evergreen,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
know that it
Ah.
So we're members at
admissions
the
for over 200 other museums.
ASTC. There's 4 letters to it that I don't ever remember.
Right.
But you can, with ours, you can get into
You can
museums.
get into other museums that are
Yes.
located elsewhere.
So if
because
you're a
it's like
member
network.
of our museum here, you can get into science museums all over, but you can also get into other. So like if you are a member here, you can go to the Museum of Flight in Seattle and you get
Right.
it for free. So there are different ways that you can get access to museums.
Excellent.
So yeah, take advantage of the programs.
Always, if you can get to the museum and you can sort of experience in person, that's cool. But for everybody watching back home, I'm so glad that we were able to share the museum sort of experience and the behind-the-scenes
Yeah.
experience with people who might not be able to make it to the museum. But there's tons. The majority of people watching right now probably can't get here to Evergreen.
Right.
So sort of sharing this with you on our virtual field trip has really, really been fantastic. And some people are saying like, oh, I've got to come out there. And there are people
Yeah.
that live in New York.
Yep.
And I really want to see that in person. If you're planning a trip, it's always a great idea to sort of look for cool things like this in the area. Because we're in
Absolutely.
McMinnville. We're not in a huge, massive city or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
But now I'm tagged.
Yep.
Chat, I
Now
have
you-
to stay.
Now you have to stay.
I
Someone
have
get
to
him
stay
entering the
here.
system. Now you have to stay.
I'm part of the system. Anyways, y'all. Again, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. Thank you guys for all the support. This is making it so we can come out here. Thanks to the museum
Very welcome.
for setting us up with the flights and the accommodations and stuff like that. So it makes it possible for us to come and do this. Thanks for the volunteers,
Yes.
Eon and Gaming with Saber, and wherever the other 2 guys are. Here we go,
Defiant
Defiance over here. Yeah, who've been sort of helping out. Also, Savvy Rainbow was here yesterday, sort of
Yep.
helping with some stuff. It's everybody that sort of came together to make this happen. We really appreciate just all the different things. So for now, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we have some flights back to get home. No more streams scheduled for today unless something really weird happens. You never know. I mean, we got the equipment.
Right, yeah, right.
But we're going to go ahead and take off. Julia, thank you again.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks for coming
So
and joining
much.
us.
Chat, you know what to do. Just all the hearts in the world for Julia. And we'll go ahead and zoom in on some schematics and shut the stream down here. But we'll see you next time, nerds.
Or we could zoom in on the best plane ever.
Oh, there's a trailer up here?
Ooh.
You can't kick me out. It's already over.
Well done. Well, he's my favorite now, so there.
I mean, I can go get the Electra manual and show the best one.
But Das already said in the best one. Best jet.